talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 3 minutes past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. The whole rugby community and the wider sports community are there for Lewis Moody, whatever he needs. That message from former Scotland international Kenny Logan on talkSPORT this morning after Moody revealed he has motor neurone disease.
I know Lewis, he's a top man, he's a really good lad.
Yep.
One of the nicest guys you'll meet, actually. And he's one of these guys that will always turn up and every time you see him, big smile and gives you a big hug. How you getting on? And we've got to do that for him now and his family.
Lewis Moody's posted online, says well supported, feeling fit and staying positive. There's more on this at talksport.com. Now, the Rangers board must take some responsibility for Russell Martin needing a police escort at Falkirk. Here's more from talkSPORT's chief football correspondent Alex Crook.
The fact it was pretty clear that this was to be the inevitable outcome. As Russell said himself, there was a big section of Rangers fans who probably didn't welcome him with open arms in the first place.
Martin was sacked after the 1-1 draw, leaving Rangers 11 points off Premiership leaders Hearts. Meanwhile, Ange Postecoglou expects a meeting with Marinakis over his 7 games without a win at Nottingham Forest. Ange says he likes a fight and he's not giving up.
What's wrong with something being hard? Seriously, what's wrong with it? Why does everything have to be so... Why do we want everything just delivered, nicely packaged? I'm sure your parents had a struggle in their life, right? And they didn't give up.
More at talksport.com. And Said Benrahma's facing trial after his ex-El bully, an American bulldog, allegedly attacked a man. The former West Ham and Brentford winger, now at Saudi side Neom, denies the charges of owning dangerously out-of-control dogs, but could be jailed if found guilty.
talkSPORT News.
Gary Neville's blamed middle-aged, angry white men for using the Union flag in a negative way. And France's Prime Minister's resigned hours after appointing his new cabinet. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With a huge range of premium brands available, we've got what you need to drive away happy every time. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Wet and windy across western Scotland and Northern Ireland, mostly dry elsewhere with lighter winds and some sunny spells, feeling milder as well.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit, and we're live in talkSPORT. So 123 days and 17 matches later, Russell Martin is sacked by Rangers. A new ownership, but how quickly has the optimism disintegrated? And have elements of mob rule won the day here? Meantime, would it be premature for Postecoglou to lose the Forest ownership 7 games in? Also today, after a table-turning week, who holds favourite status for the title? Should anyone be deemed undroppable for a World Cup? How do you evaluate half a century of Amarim? Is the domestic scene still the priority for owners? And what does the Union Jack flag mean to you? This is Jim White, Simon Jordan and Emmanuel Petit, and we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Monsieur Petit, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Now, I hear you had a little delay in the Eurostar, but you got here. That's the main thing.
Well, I will do everything to be with you this morning. The sunny sunshine, in London, so
Yes.
fresh air. So I only slept 4 hours, but doesn't matter because I feel okay. I feel good.
Good man, and delighted to hear it. On the other hand, my travelling companion, Simon and I were in Glasgow on Friday.
Big
Emmanuel.
storm, yeah.
Oh, yes. There was a very big storm, but nothing like the big storm that kicked off in the compartment of our train later on in the evening. So the Chris Boyd lunch was fantastic, and we raised £90,000. And Chris Boyd, of course, former Rangers striker, he has a charity that helps other charities, really, and raises funds. And we went through the £1 million mark. That was great. Then we heard our flight back to London was cancelled, and then we were on a train. Now, the interesting thing was, Emmanuel, he was larger than... Simon, good morning, incidentally.
Morning.
Just to prove he's here. He was larger than life, and everything was wonderful, and he'd been received brilliantly in Glasgow. And then around Warrington area, we were told very late on the Friday, we're getting towards, 11 o'clock at night, and your next stop is Crewe. And that will be our final destination tonight. And that's when your mood changed. Now, I took the news as well as I could because I thought, oh God, I'm stuck in Crewe with Simon. In fact, we're all stuck in Crewe with Simon. But you were great until then, and then we wondered how we'd get home. Now, I don't know about you, I boarded a rail replacement bus. I lost you.
You know what I did?
In the rush. You managed to get yourself...
So I'm not doing that. I'm getting a taxi.
Now, he got a taxi, Emmanuel. How much did that set you back?
But it doesn't matter. These people are morons. Not only did they set a train off an hour and a half late, not only did it stop in the middle of the railway lines for half an hour because they had no power, not only did they pick up some poor buggers that had been waiting on the side of a platform for 2 hours and forget to drop them off at a train station and took them another 50 miles down the road, they then decided, for no other reason, not for weather, that because the crew, who had done nothing for 6 hours, had worked out their hours... And they're no longer going to take people back to London at 1:30 in the morning. It's going to dump a load of people, young girls and single people on the train in Crewe at 1:30 in the morning. And everyone can just get on with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, by that time...
Emmanuel, that was mild
of you.
Yeah, or you were indeed. That was mild compared to what he was actually like on the train.
Welcome to the real life.
Exactly. So you get back okay. I mean, Emmanuel, what I would say was, I get back in the bus and nobody really spoke in the bus, which was great. So we all got a bit of sleep. I get to Euston at 5:45 in the morning. When did you get back to London?
4.
At 4, right. I was an hour behind you in the bus.
Yeah, but you're going into Euston. I've got to get out of Euston as well, so it would have been another 30 minutes. So I was back in London an hour and a half before you.
Oh, I'm delighted about that.
Having a good snooze, having coffees on the side of the motorway, a nice cab driver, fueling the gig economy.
Yeah.
Making sure that people are rewarded for hard work.
How long did it take for you to come back?
3 hours.
3 hours?
Yeah. Well, I was about 4.5 on the bus.
10 hours on the train.
Nobody was asking for you. And when I got back...
I can just imagine you peeing in a bag at the back of the bus.
I got back into my place, 5:15, and then I must admit, I got a little mercy text from Lord Jordan. Everything okay? Back okay? And I was like, yeah, back. I have to say, the event itself was magnificent. There were many...
That's the most important.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They raised a lot of money, and Chris Boyd, did brilliantly.
Fabulously, didn't he? Yeah. All the boys there did fabulously. All of them did the function as well. Everyone that was there.
Well, I've got to say, mate, you did fabulously because you more than held your own in a Q&A with me that lasted 45 minutes. Everybody enjoyed it. You did brilliantly, Simon, but I've never seen a mood change like it when the word crew was mentioned. And that's our final destination tonight. Let's stick with Glasgow. Emmanuel, I know you've been talking to producer Luke this morning, but I know you're across it. Russell Martin, 123 days and 17 matches later, he is sacked by Rangers. He's had a torrid time of it there. We're going to get more on this shortly. He's overseen 5 wins in 17 games across all competitions. Even Russell knew it was going to be difficult to survive it. And he spoke after the 1-1 draw at Falkirk.
Embracing a lot of change, but there's no excuses. The team ultimately is a reflection on me, and it has to be better and it has to do better, so I need to take responsibility and look at that myself. And I understand some of it is more frustrating than it is to understand, but I have to keep working.
Well, that was it. He wanted to keep working, but that opportunity was denied, and Martin leaves as the shortest serving permanent manager or head coach in Rangers' 153-year history. On Friday, Simon, you were telling the people that we were with, your sympathy with him. He was in a tough predicament, but they need to think long and hard about whether or not they were going to part company with him.
No, that's not quite what I was saying. And what I was saying is that if the ownership model that had selected him, and I had been saying it for 2 or 3 weeks, and when I was in Marbella about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was with a Glasgow businessman called Jimmy Gilmore, who wanted him gone, and I was trying to counsel him as well. But I was saying that if you've made a decision and you've appointed somebody, then you must have seen something in them. And unless that's something that you've seen as completely was a misrepresentation, then you have to stay strong with what you believe was right, unless you believe you've taken on a pup. That was my argument. Now, obviously, seeing the result on the weekend and doing a lot more sort of diligence behind believing that the ownership model knows what it's doing. It knew what it was doing, should know what it was doing. It owns Leeds. They're not green, these owners. And then I start to look at some of the decision-making, some of the reputations that are being put in front of the decision, like the guy at Rangers, Patrick Stewart, who's the so-called CEO of Man United. No, he wasn't. He was an interim CEO. Prior to that, he was in the back room of Man United, so his football experience is probably limited.
Yeah.
The director of football, Kevin Thirlwall. I'm not entirely sure.
Ex-Everton.
Not entirely sure that he covered himself at glory at Everton. I'm not entirely sure that the decision-making process to put Russell in place was the best one. But when you see the result on the weekend, I mean, I saw it yesterday and went, oh, mate, whether it's 9-10 games, you can't manage Glasgow Rangers. I don't like it. I don't like these thugs running around and bullying people, and I don't like it at all. I think it's an awful indication.
Well, we're going to get to that, Emmanuel, because he was given a torrid time, and yesterday it got pretty nasty.
Didn't like it.
Game. We're going to get to that, but do the statistics tell you that a club like Rangers, and this club is huge, the draw at Falkirk leaves Rangers 8th in the Premiership, 11 points behind the leaders' Hearts, 9 adrift of Celtic. Do you think, that suggests to me it's more or less time up?
Well, how many manager has been on the bench the last couple of seasons? 5 now already?
Yeah.
So, a lot of changement as well since the end of last season. The board, the new owners, and some players are gone as well. And some players, they were probably the best player of this last season. He was not part of the start of the season as well. And I think the manager has made strong comments publicly. He pointed the finger out to his players. So I think the way he wanted to manage his team as well on the pitch, he did good things, with Southampton,
He did.
He did.
Right. The way he was characterised was bloody unfair, because we had people coming on this show from the get-go saying he's a failure. He's a failure. Why have we got him?
Yeah.
It's not true. He wasn't a failure. He dragged Southampton out of the Championship at the expense of Leeds United, a far bigger club, who had a far bigger budget at the time, and put them back into the Premier League.
Yes.
And fine, he got caught out in the Premier League after 10 games.
26 games unbeaten.
Absolutely. So to characterise him, and the guy walks in the door, they didn't want him from the get-go. He's getting booed in pre-season friendlies. What chance have you got?
I totally agree with you, but I think he did a huge mistake, after the first game of the season, taking a swap to his players, publicly, saying that some players were lacking, the right behavior, the mentality was not right. And I think you can't say that when you just arrive in the club, especially when you point the fingers out to your best players,
Yeah, you're right.
from last season. Yeah.
He did go early.
But for me, it doesn't justify what happened, with the fans. I don't like it at all.
Well, we're going to get into that, Emmanuel, because it got extremely ugly yesterday after the 1-1 draw at Falkirk, but it had been for many weeks. And Russell Martin had been on the end of some quite dreadful abuse for a considerable period of time. He's been in touch with me this morning. I invited him on this morning. He's very politely declined, saying he's got a bunch of things in his mind. And I totally understand that. But that is the wider question this morning. Russell Martin has gone, albeit many would think he would have to. 5 wins in 17 games across all competitions. But here's the thing. Have elements of mob rule won the day? We'll get into that next. French World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit in our midst this morning, and we're delighted about that. Emmanuel has joined us. He is with us till 12 noon. Alongside me, as always, is Simon Jordan. We're just back from Scotland, having been up at a charity lunch on Friday. All the talk was how much longer will Russell Martin survive at Rangers. Well, it was one day, really, because on Sunday they went to Falkirk, newly promoted Falkirk. They drew 1-1. Thereafter, the Rangers board, who should be held to account for what has gone on as well in Russell Martin's short time there, the board made an announcement that Russell Martin had been sacked by the football club. But have elements of mob rule won the day? Many of you getting in touch this morning. Don't condone vile attacks on players and managers. Criticise by all means, but don't attack or line up to attack anyone at a time like that. That was one message that's just come in. And the reason I'm saying that is this. After the game at Falkirk yesterday, Rangers fans, some of them blocked the team bus from leaving the stadium. The head coach, Russell Martin, was escorted away from the ground in a separate car by the police in a bid to keep him away from some of the fans. Now, a group of fans, mainly clad in black, were led away from the ground by police more than 90 minutes after the match had finished. So it was very nasty, just as it had been after the game against Sturm Graz, following their Europa League defeat against Sturm Graz just last week. And Russell Martin had questioned the mentality of some of his players. A video surfaced online of Rangers sporting director Kevin Thelwell and chief exec Patrick Stewart being confronted by angry fans in a hotel lobby post-match. And on that occasion, some of the fans left the hotel shouting F this, F that, and what was rotten in their eyes. And similar situation yesterday. It was an ugly little scene yesterday outside the Falkirk Stadium, and it could have got worse. If you're watching, maybe on Prime Video, Samsung, whatever you're watching on TV this morning, you can see the scenes as I'm describing them. Simon is watching them as well. So too is Emmanuel Petit. So these individuals clad in black, Simon, with their hoods up, God knows what average age they are. I would have thought many of them are just kids, but looking menacing, and Russell Martin looking alarmed. Mounted police leading his car away from the stadium. And this is football. Ridiculous. What's your take on it? Emmanuel, you're looking at that. There's a large group in front of the Rangers bus. And then when they heard that Russell Martin was leaving, they moved over to the route that he was going to be taken out in a car.
It's ridiculous. Honestly. And maybe I'm not that intelligent, to understand this situation. I think people are taking that too emotionally, and this is only football, And I know that we are talking about probably, the link you can have, with your club, the love you can have. But those guys, are young. I'm very, very curious about what they're going to say. Maybe we will. I'm very, very curious about that. So.
You've seen this in France, Emmanuel, haven't you?
We've seen that in Marseille for years, and it's been very, very dangerous, in Marseille. The fans came to the training facilities and threatened, the manager, the players. They wanted to fight. They burned the entry of the training ground, and they were trying to make as much trouble as possible. And there were a lot of fights, and it was a very, very bad and anxious environment surrounding the club and the players. So mentally, it was very difficult, to cope with, and the players to be on the pitch as well. So, obviously, everything had changed so much. So far, so good. But the wind is never too far, from the pitch, in Marseille. The storm can come back, very, very quickly. But again, it's only football, and look what happened, after Paris Saint-Germain won the Champions League on the Champs-Élysées, it was a disaster. I was on the Champs-Élysées, working for the French radio, and we were witnessing, things that I didn't understand. And
do you understand that when you see these?
No, I don't get it. We're talking about football.
Do you understand it, Simon?
Well, it's the flip side of the sense of ownership that fans have towards their football club, the sense of entitlement they can say as they wish and do as they wish. It's the other end of the spectrum from being a passionate supporter that wants its football club to do very well to the other spectrum where you've got fans that demand and set manifestos for how football clubs will operate, that will hound people out of their jobs. It's that side that we're talking about, and it's a very thin line between being a passionate supporter and stepping across the line and behaving this way. Most of them are probably 12. And have the intellect of a 12-year-old. They get involved in what they now think they're entitled to do. We're seeing an angry society. I'm not suggesting there's one scintilla of excuse for this behaviour. He didn't do a good job, with due respect to Russell. He's put himself in the way of losing his job. What he hasn't put himself in the way of is the kind of intimidation and abuse that shouldn't go hand in hand with being a passionate football fan. We know that, football has no logic. We say it's just football, but it has no logic because people give up all their worldly possessions to travel around the world to watch their football team. They spend everything. They live and breathe their football club with such irrationality. Choice. I know that. But what I'm saying is you cannot just condense it down to normal behaviour, because it isn't normal behaviour to be so invested. Owning a football club, I used to see fans living so passionately through their club. So there's no rational behind it. So you have to put that into the equation. But when you get to the points where there is this level of behaviour, this level of outlook from so-called ultras that believe they have an entitlement to tell people what they can and can't do. It's one thing berating an owner like Dalphon Chansiri, who's not honouring his responsibilities, or the fellow at Reading that's effectively killing a football club. It's another thing where a guy isn't doing a particularly good job, but you are ramping it up to the point where somehow or another you believe, these people will fundamentally believe that it's their gift to behave this way. And then someone should come along.
Their gift or their right?
A bit of both. And someone should come along and fill their collars. And then their backsides would probably go. And then they'd have a different worldview about how they behave themselves. But the problem is, like so many things in society, I'm going back to troubles in different parts of the world, young kids following their father's attitude, not really understanding why they're throwing bricks at police and whatever else. But in this instance, you're talking about a football manager being intimidated to the point where you've got I want to use a better expression, you understand the meaning, a lynch mob outside of the stadium to have a go at a football manager because your team hasn't won a couple of games. I mean, really pack it in there. Yeah. Come on.
Want to put it out to Rangers fans this morning, and even some of those individuals who gathered outside the Falkirk Stadium.
But they're cowards as well. They won't even show their faces. They'll all be masked up. They're all cowards.
Well, let's see if you're prepared to come to air this morning, some of you, and tell us why you were there, why you congregated in a group outside the stadium yesterday. Because Russell Martin was trying to get out of there, and so were the players. They didn't lose the match. It was 1-1. But we know the results had not been good enough. And we know that Russell Martin was flirting with his own dismissal. And at the end of the day, they did just that. They sacked him. So you've got your way. Do you feel you played any part in that, legitimately? And what on earth were you doing outside the Falkirk Stadium yesterday in that insidious little group, wandering around, jackets up to the collar with a hood up? What were you doing? Is this mob rule? Is that what we witnessed? And are you one of them this morning? If so, if you feel like it, come to air and tell us what your intention was. 03717 223344 81089. It's 10:30 and we're live on talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Rangers have been outrun and outfought too often under the sacked Russell Martin, and Ali McCoy says the rest of the Premiership could start to smell blood.
And Rangers, unlike a wounded animal can be very, very dangerous. Rangers are a wounded animal at this moment in time, but look anything but dangerous.
The board say Russell Martin's results did not meet expectations. He leaves Rangers 11 points off leaders' hearts after winning just one league game this season. Forest legend Stuart Pearce, meanwhile, has told us the team just lack a bit of cutting edge and that the players are fighting hard for their new manager.
What's wrong with something being hard? Seriously, what's wrong with it? Why does everything have to be so... Why do we want everything just delivered nicely packaged? I'm sure your parents had a struggle in their life, right? And they didn't give up.
Postecoglou expects talks with the Forest board over the international break after going 7 games without a win. Now, Martin Ødegaard's expected to miss at least 3 weeks with a knee ligament injury. Arsenal's captain came off for the 3rd home game running as Arsenal went top with a win over West Ham. Meanwhile, Harry Kane insists he is fit to play for England this week. He's hurt his foot in Bayern's win over Frankfurt. And some very sad news indeed this morning. British and Irish lion Lewis Moody has been diagnosed with MND. In an emotional interview with the BBC, Moody says the hardest thing was telling his mum and 2 teenage boys. Former Scottish winger Kenny Logan is a spokesperson for the Doddy Weir Foundation.
I know Lewis. He's a top man. He's a really good lad.
Yep.
One of the nicest guys we'll meet, actually. And he's one of these guys that will always turn up and every time you see him, big smile and gives you a big hug. How you getting on? And we've got to do that for him now and his family.
There's more on this story and others at talksport.com.
Good morning, everybody. Monday morning, quite a weekend, was it not? It sure was. Liverpool losing at Chelsea. Arsenal really getting the boot down now. Is it going to be Arteta and Arsenal who are going to race away to this Premier League title? Obviously, international break, a lot to discuss, and it gives us time to discuss it. And there's a long, long way to go, but nobody better to discuss Arsenal's prospects of going all the way and winning it than French World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit. Arsenal fans still love him to this very day. Emmanuel in studio with us this morning. In the meantime, we make no apology for it. We are part on the Rangers situation, the dismissal of Russell Martin, but some of the ingredients of that dismissal very unpalatable indeed. Russell Martin knew that he was flirting with dismissal. He must have done. He oversaw 5 wins in 17 games across all competition. In the league, they've managed just 1 win from 7 games. And the league table, even this early, takes on a very unusual look to it, with Rangers down there and it's Hearts and Celtic at the top forging ahead. But the very nature of the circumstances surrounding his departure have come to light this morning, with events post-match at Falkirk very much to the fore. A 1-1 draw, and Russell Martin was made to feel very uncomfortable as he left the Falkirk Stadium yesterday. The players were blocked in from leaving, and then a group of so-called supporters outside, hoods up, gathered, moving around rather sinisterly, sitting down in front of the coach and then moving over towards the exit, the car in which Russell Martin was a passenger, was trying to leave the stadium. There is one message. Jim, no name in this, I don't think. Jim, you know how much Rangers means to people in Glasgow. It was a peaceful process at the end of the game. The fans sat in front of the bus to make a point. No physical altercations, no property damage. The board have brought it to this point by not getting rid of Martin sooner. What do you make of a message like that, Simon? That it was peaceful. There was nothing else to it. Well, it was made for a point. It was point making, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there, so I assume that the police took him out in a different direction because everything was so comfortable and it was a bunch of flower children with poppies in their hairs. I assume it was because there was an intimidating atmosphere. There's one thing a manager not doing a good enough job is another thing taking it to the level. We've seen it over the last couple of weeks. We saw the reaction from Rangers fans talking about and young kids abusing Russell Martin at the football match, and he talked about it himself in a press conference about how he didn't particularly appreciate being told to F off and have a middle finger stuck at him by young kids at football stadiums.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a balancing act between me always wanting to say, and I will always want to say, and I think Emmanuel probably would say the same thing about resilience, and you accept, so you have to get over it, and you have to have a bit of fortitude, and sometimes people say hurty words to you, right? But there is also a flip side, a darker side, when people think they can step across the line. What happens next? Eventually, if you don't nip this in the bud with fans' entitlement, we saw it with Patrick Vieira. We saw Patrick on a football field walking across Goodison Park where some Everton fans got very leery with him. They would say, when the Everton fans would be up defending themselves, that it was excitable and Patrick provoked them. But they tried to hit Patrick Vieira on a football field. What happens next? Eventually, it's when someone steps across the line. We saw Ian Walker many, many years ago, where a football fan ran on the pitch and attacked Ian. We've seen it in recent times.
Neil Lennon.
We saw it with Neil Lennon. We saw it in the dugout at Sheffield United, Nottingham Forest.
That could be the next step.
And so if you don't stop this now and nip it in the bud, and the Rangers board are weak, they should be saying something. They should be out front and centre saying, with all due respect, a football manager not being successful is one thing.
Yeah.
This kind of behaviour is another thing entirely.
Might try and get in touch with someone from the Rangers board while we're on air. Why not? In the meantime, we've put it out to Rangers fans. What is your thought? Now that Martin's gone, that's one thing. You got your way. Almost to a man, to a woman. You wanted Russell Martin out. Well, you've got your way. He's out. But what did you make of those scenes at the end of the game after the 1-1 draw at Falkirk, when this group moving around, making their presence felt? Bill's a Rangers fan. Good morning, Bill. What do you want to say in this?
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to apologise on behalf of a lot of other Rangers fans. I've normally been proud of my club. I'm not proud today. I'm not proud that we've had three decent men at the club, Giovan Bronckhorst, Philip Clement and now Russell Martin, who have been forced out the door. I would like to see them stand in front of Jock Wallace's bus. It's disgraceful behaviour. They were arrogant and looking down their nose at Celtic fans when they did a similar thing. Now we've done it. I've been supporting the club for 60 odd years, good times and bad times. If I were to speak to Russell Martin today, I'd be saying, do you think it's good enough? I'm sure he knows it isn't. But Simon made a point at the end there. The Rangers board are weak. When does it stop that these guys, who are anonymous, run our clubs and chase decent people out of Scottish football? Who's going to take that job now?
Bill, that's a very good point. That group there, if it can be identified, whatever, do you think they should be banned from future games?
Of course they should. There's all sorts of ways to find out who they are. And you know what? They've intimidated a young man, right, with mob rule, who's got a family. We've all been under criticism and we know how it can be. But these guys are anonymous. Send them somewhere else where people can fight back. Rangers have given me many, many years of satisfaction. And sometimes will be bad times. But we can't have 120, 150 young men who, if you threw them a ball, they would catch it. Dictating what happened at my club.
Yeah. Bill, you have a World Cup winner and Emmanuel Petit listening to you here. Emmanuel, what do you want to say to Bill?
Just want to say thank you very much for what you've just said. I think, from France, Glasgow Rangers fans has been always well known for their fierce, they're very passionate, very loyal, and always supporting their clubs. And it's always, brilliant to watch that on TVs, all the time. I've been talking with so many former players, about Scottish football, especially Rangers, the whole film, game, with the Celtic, and how passionate it is, and the respect and everything, I know that sometimes it crossed the line, but what you just said, I think you should step up, as thousands of fans, supporting their clubs, because those guys, they were hiding their faces. They are not supporting the club, and you are different. So you have to take responsibility for that, and you have to step up and to say we don't want those guys, supporting the club, and the club as well has to make a statement, because they've been silent and very silent. And for me, this is very difficult to understand this situation. So thank you very much for what you just said, and I want you to support the club and to show the way and the direction for the rest of the fans.
it's absolute delight to have those words spoken to me. And can I just say, the gentle beside he's quite modest, Jim White. I know you've won a lot of stuff in football. Jim White was my manager when we won the 10 and 6s 30 odd years ago. He won't tell you that, but he was.
Bill, now I've got you. Bill, terrific. Great to hear from you. Thank you very much indeed for calling in. Here's Kev, a Rangers fan. Kev, good morning. You heard Bill there.
How are you doing, boys?
Good, thank you, Kev. Emmanuel Petit is here. You're in star-studded company alongside Simon Jordan. What do you want to say to the two of them?
Well, the first things first, hello, Emmanuel. Big fan for years and years ago, growing up, seeing you play for Arsenal in France. Just wow. But on the matter at hand.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've been on the last couple of weeks, and obviously, you know that I want Martin out. As much as I'm delighted he's gone, there's ways and means. Like you said, Jim, these guys, they've got their faces covered. I get they do a lot for the club, but as much as I've been vocal as well on social media about wanting them out. If I was doing there yesterday, I certainly wouldn't be part of that sort of mob. I mean, I don't know if attack's the right word, but it's not right. Because like the last caller said, 5 years ago, when we won the league, and Celtic were having their own protests, their own issues with Neil Lennon, we sat there, we'll never do this. That's not the Rangers way. We'd never do that, no matter how bad things have got. And yes, things are bloody horrific right now, but we just lowered ourselves to that level yesterday.
Yeah. What do you think of this group of, Simon called them 12-year-olds. They're apparently young guys. No, they had their jackets done up, their hoods up. I mean, if they can be identified, Kev, should they be banned?
Yeah, maybe not an instant ban, but it's so difficult. I mean, I don't disagree with Simon because they may not physically be 12, but the mentality is that of a 12-year-old. Because you didn't go to a game of football to then go start attacking folk. I mean, yeah, we want him out. Yeah, he's not done a good enough job. But at what point does the line become crossed? And yesterday crossed the line for me personally.
Yeah.
You wouldn't catch me dead doing anything like that.
Kev, who's going to go in there now?
Well, I'd quite like to see Steven Gerrard come back. I think the way he left the club, he was a little bit sort of forced out because there's a well-known more than rumour about the Kevin Nisbet situation. The year when Gerrard obviously left in 2021 to go to Villa, he had asked the board to buy Kevin Nisbet from Hibs, who'd scored 25 the previous season for a Hibs team that finished in 7th place. And the board outright told him no chance. Shop around. I mean, I'm not saying we would have won the league with Kevin Nisbet that season. However, it's one of those what-if moments.
Okay, you're having Kevin. Another name in the frame is Sean Dyche. I mean, Simon, thanks for that.
I think that's rewriting history. Steven Gerrard would have run to Aston Villa at any given time because it was a Premier League job, in the same way that Brendan Rodgers couldn't get out of Celtic quick enough to go to Leicester because he thought it was a Premier League gig, and now comes back and pays them back by probably doing the same thing again. The Rangers ball were weak. They should have nipped it in the bud when they stuck that banner up and the team came back from a European game and they had to come back to that banner at 4 o'clock in the morning. They should have dealt with it there and then. That banner shouldn't have been up. The manager should never have to see that because it was unnecessary. It was just an insulting set of observations, and the board should have been out front and centre. The chief executive or whoever alongside their manager showing a bit of balls because they put him in the job. Yes, he's got to make life easier for them by winning football matches, but there should have been a united stand, not an isolated position for one man to take the brickbats. They made the decisions. They bought the players. They supported his appointment. He shouldn't be standing on his own. That shouldn't be how it should be. That's not how it should be. I would never have allowed that if I'd have been the chief executive or the owner of Rangers, irrespective of whether I fire the fellow in the end. I would never have allowed that.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Russell Martin has gone under extremely unpalatable circumstances, and we'll be looking at who's next very shortly. It's Jim White, Emmanuel Petit and Simon. We're live on talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. Monday morning, Monday, October the 5th. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and French World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit, and we are live on talkSPORT. I want to thank you all for the messages and the individuals who called and trying to get through to us there with an enormous number of callers on the Russell Martin situation. We have to move on. It's a 3-hour show and we've a lot to cram in. Here's a question though. The Russell Martin situation, he's now gone. Is Ange Postecoglou incredibly going to follow him anytime soon at Nottingham Forest? Newcastle beat Nottingham Forest by 2-0 to leave Postecoglou now winless in all competitions in his first 7 games. 3-0 defeat to Arsenal, 3-2 defeat Swansea, 1-1 draw Burnley, 2-2 Real Betis, 1-0 defeat Sunderland, 3-2 defeat Midtjylland, and now 2-0 defeat Newcastle United. Even this early, is he now very much in the dock, and does he stand to be the next one to lose his job? He was asked post-match at Newcastle, can you turn it around?
No, it's a lost cause. I mean, it's seriously, what's wrong with something being hard? Seriously, what's wrong with it? Why does everything have to be so, why do we want everything just delivered nicely packaged? I'm sure your parents had a struggle in their life, right? And they didn't give up. You may have even been a lost cause at some point, but they didn't give up on you, right? So what I'm saying is, no. But what I'm saying is, right, I'm not having a go at you, please don't take it that way, is that, you know, it seems to be these days that as soon as something goes wrong, that's it, it's wrong, we'll change it, break it up. Like, everything that needs kind of something fixed is invariably going to go through a tough time.
What do you make of Ange Postecoglou's reaction there, Emmanuel?
He's a fierce person, you know, with a great character, big personality. So, you know, just like, you know, probably we're going to talk about Amarim as well, because he's been on table for months and months now.
Yeah.
But I feel, I feel pity sometimes, for managers. We spoke about Russell, with Glasgow Rangers. But what's happening with Postecoglou after what he's been through, with Spurs, last season. After 3 weeks, what he's receiving from his own fans away from home on top of it, and I never saw that before, to be honest with you. I'm not kind of used to that. And the way he's been dealing on the press conference, he knows that I like his character, to be honest with you.
Postecoglou.
I like the character, I like the fact that he's not the last one to get a fight, with people that wants to put him down. And he's a fierce guy, and I respect that a lot.
We're not in Frank de Boer territory with Palace, are we?
No, but he's parodying your lot. He's parodying the journalists because he knows where they're going with this particular conversation. What's he supposed to say? Nah, mate, it's a lost cause. I don't blame him for saying that. Well, the old stock answer would be, no, I'm going to fight. And then they'd be parodied by the journalists. Well, you've lost last 6 games. What's going to happen here then? So he's just taking it away from them.
Yeah, but Simon, here's the thing. A lot of this was triggered by the Forest fans last Thursday night.
Yeah.
When they lost to the Danish club Midtjylland, and they took to social media, and there was a thorough pile on.
What's his driving?
And they were chanting in the stadium.
I heard that, right?
You're getting sacked in the morning to their own manager who's just in the door.
What's driving this culture of football fans? I would suggest it's sections of the media. I would suggest it's sections of social media and society's attitude to what.
How about you can't get a win?
Well, yeah, okay, but how about he's been there for 5 minutes? How about we look at things properly?
Give him time.
Look at the fact that the games he's had. I mean, there's probably 2 or 3 games in there you have to question him on. You have to question him on the loss last week, because I thought they were absolutely brilliant against Betis in the first 45 minutes of that European game away in Seville. They were outstanding. Okay, the League Cup game, they should have done better against Swansea. They got smashed by Arsenal. So what? Arsenal are a better side than them. So really, it's a Sunderland game and the league game. If going to Newcastle, go find out how many teams are going to go up to Newcastle and turn Newcastle over at St James's Park. So really and truly, what the hell is going on? It's disrespectful to the manager. It's disrespectful to the owner. Whatever you think of Marinakis, whatever you think of what he did to Nuno Espirito Santo, the one person in that football club that's got unadulterated currency is Marinakis. He dragged this football club financially by his own will out of the doldrums of 23 years of being outside the Premier League, stuck him in the Premier League, and has done everything he said he was going to do. So, by the way, I think he's got the currency to change a manager if he wants to. Postecoglou wins things. Postecoglou takes hold of the press conference. Pack it in, and how about supporting people? Rather than constantly telling people what you think you're entitled to.
What, the fans supporting people. The fans
support
get behind
people.
them. Yeah.
You're supposed to be supporters.
Yeah.
That's the key component of the equation. Read the title, supporter. You're supposed to support things.
Emmanuel, do you think it was out of order that many Forest fans got on his back?
It's too early.
Very loudly the other night.
He's been there, 3 weeks ago, beginning of September.
There's 7 games.
7 games, okay. So did he ask, for the team? He just came after Espirito. So, the way he's been dealing the last season, I think they've been great, and the result as well. And they failed the last steps, to qualify for the Champions League. But honestly, they've been fighting, Espiritos with Edu, who just came into the club. And then all of a sudden they fired him and then they took Postecoglou. So just give him time.
But the owners earn the currency. And by the way, Nuno Espirito Santo isn't the patron saint of Portugal. He's also a difficult bugger to deal with. So it's not just a straight line about, poor old Nuno, he got treated terribly.
There is something I don't understand, Jordan. Maybe you can give me the answer. Because when you look at the football style of Nuno Espirito, is from defensive, the big block, deep in defense, try to play a counter-attack, fast transition. It's totally different with what Postecoglou wants us to do as well.
Rumour. It was this rumour, Emmanuel, that there was an idea that the owner didn't like the style of play, and that what was happening with Nuno Espirito Santo, and with the reasons why he had the outburst in the press conference about his relationship with the owner, which none of us could really think was a particularly sensible thing to do, was going to end up was that Marinakis was looking around at different managers during the summer, despite the success of Nuno Espirito Santo, because he wanted a team that played on a front foot. Now, I don't like that sort of ownership because
they got results last season,
and they were good to watch, quite frankly, as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's put it to Forest fans as we head into the 11 o'clock break. I mean, is it wildly too soon to be even thinking about Postecoglou being shown the door as early as 7 games in? Certainly no wins so far. So, yeah, you're on his back. But so much so that you want him out? And David Moyes, in his programme notes before their game at the weekend, he called out some of those who have a real dig at managers and managers whose dignity comes into question. You're going to hear some of the quotes I'm going to bring you from David Moyes on this one, because they're fair game. But I mean, Postecoglou, really? This early? Do Forest fans want him gone? 03717 223344 81089.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 11:01, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. We're told the whole rugby community is there for Lewis Moody, whatever he needs, following his motor neurone disease diagnosis. Kenny Logan's told talkSPORT Lewis always greets you with a smile and a hug, and we have to do that for him and his family now.
He has to work, right? He's not. He's a rugby player who's won a World Cup, but he will still have to work and make a living for his family. So I think that's the first thing. We've got to try and help his family and make sure that they're looked after.
Lewis Moody's posted online to say he's well supported and feeling positive. There's more on this at talksport.com. Now, Ali McCoist has told talkSPORT the Rangers board are under huge pressure to get their next appointment right. After the sacking of Russell Martin, McCoist says recruitment's been really poor, while the players must carry the can a bit.
The buck rightly and understandably stops at the manager, but sometimes when you get on the pitch, you've got to take responsibility. And Rangers just look like they look like wee boys, mate.
Martin leaves Rangers with just one league win. They're 11 points off Premiership leaders Hearts. Meanwhile, Nottingham Forest legend Stuart Pearce has told us taking over from the successful Nuno heaped pressure on Ange Postecoglou.
Some of the booing midweek, if you like, it was aimed just as much maybe at the decision about Nuno than it was Ange, you know.
Postecoglou expects talks with the Forest board after going 7 games without a win. And Ben Stokes' England have the best chance of winning an away Ashes since the 3-1 win down under in 2010-2011. That from former England bowler Chris Woakes, whose shoulder injury forced his hand on international retirement this summer. There's more Ashes build-up on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube.
talkSPORT News.
Dame Jilly Cooper has died, aged 88, and the Conservatives say they'd cut business rates for pubs if they got into power. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Wet and windy across western Scotland and Northern Ireland, mostly dry elsewhere with lighter winds and some sunny spells, feeling milder as well.
Good morning, everybody. 4 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's French World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit. And we are live on talkSPORT. Coming to you live, of course, on your TV as well. Fire TV, Chromecast, Android, Google TV, even Prime Video. Wherever you want to watch us, you can. We're here for you on TV as well as radio. And we're with you all the way through until 1 o'clock. Monsieur Petit will leave us at midday, and he will head back to Paris. At the moment, we're talking about Nottingham Forest. Russell Martin's gone from Rangers. He had a nightmare stay there. But it doesn't seem to be going at all to plan for Ange Postecoglou. Played 7, not 1 win in that 7. And Ange Postecoglou has come out fighting. Simon had some pretty strong words for the journalists who were asking Ange some questions there moments ago. There is one message coming in. Simon, you're wrong on this, I have to say. Ange is arrogant. He doesn't understand the football club. This isn't the Spurs circus of a tourist attraction ground. We don't turn on our managers just for the sake of it. He's proven in 6 or 7 games he has no idea of tactics or formation.
Well, I'd like to know what they're saying is arrogant about Ange Postecoglou defending himself and being robust, and also putting tongue firmly in his cheek with journalists that will be writing his obituary as quick as they can. And as far as his team is concerned, well, look, he's transitioning aside. I mean, again, I make the point. It's one game, but I make the point. I thought they were outstanding against Betis. I thought they were absolutely outstanding in that first half against Betis. Now people will say 1 half in 7 games, that's not good enough. And he'll have to get his boots on, won't he? He'll have to get himself together. But to suggest that he's being arrogant because he doesn't buckle down to the orthodoxy of catowling and forelock tugging and whatever else he's supposed to do is just nonsense. You want leaders. Leaders are strong characters. You want people to win. They have a bit of fortitude about him. And I think most of the time with Ange, I do think he's the architect of his own downfall sometimes. I do think he gives people an opportunity to swing a bat at him. He did it when he was at Tottenham by saying things like he doesn't worry about dead balls. And then every time a dead ball goal went in, the media were focusing cameras on him and looking at what he did and didn't say. I don't think he's arrogant. I don't think there's anything arrogant about what he said. I just think he's a strong character.
And you're kind of having him as well, Emmanuel. You quite like the way he's biting back.
Of course, I respect that. And he's been under so much pressure since he came, from at Spurs first, and then now at Nottingham. But if I follow what some Nottingham Forest fans are saying, then I just want to ask them a question. A very simple question. You had apparently a very good manager. He's been sacked. He had result, with the team last season. Nottingham were fighting, against relegation. All of a sudden, they were so close to qualify for the Champions League, and they were playing very, very good football. So if you are not happy with Postecoglou,
is, do you respect your owner?
Yeah,
because if you don't, then you bloody well should, because you were languishing outside of the Premier League for a quarter of a century.
Well,
so Marinakis has made a decision. Why aren't you backing your owner? Why aren't you backing your owner?
Well, it was Marinakis who pulled the trigger on Nuno,
So my point is, Marinakis made that decision. So if Marinakis has made that decision, why isn't it good enough for you lot then?
Okay. Well, he's got an international break, Ange Postecoglou, to work out in his head how Forest on return on the 18th of this month are going to beat Chelsea in the 12:30 kickoff when they come back. Danny's a big Nottingham Forest fan. Danny, time up for Postecoglou even this early, or is it?
No, I don't think so. I've got to sort of echo what Simon and Emmanuel there is saying as well. I think from a Forest fan base, generally speaking, we do trust in Mr. Marinakis, and at the end of the day, can't argue with any of that. He dragged us out of the Championship. We've been trying to get back for 20 odd years. We now find ourselves in a very fortuitous position whereby we're in Europe. There's a lot of hype around Forest towards the end of the season last season. We're constantly in the news. And I've got to say, from an Ange point of view, I just feel a lot of this attention is manufactured by the media. I mean, he said a comment the other day, and I listened to it, and I thought, yeah, that's taken in context. There's no problem with that. He said I could be sitting at home. What he was saying, in my opinion, was I don't need to do this job. If I want to do this job, I want to do it. I want to do it as well as I possibly can. Straight away, well, do the Forest fans want to hear that? He wants to sit at home watching football. I just think it's all manufactured, and as much as I...
Yeah, but Danny, the other night when you lost 3-2 to the Danish club Midtjylland, 3-2 defeat to Midtjylland in Europe, and the Forest fans were singing, you're getting sacked in the morning, about their own manager. The media didn't manufacture that, did they?
No, they didn't. They didn't. And that's going to be a segment of the crowd, and that's immediate, it's emotional, and I get all of those things. And I was at the match, and I left when they went 3-1 up, which I never leave the game before it finishes. But I was disappointed. But I think we've got to take it in context, and we've got to give them a chance, because what we don't want to be doing is going back to the early 90s, late 80s, where we're swinging managers in and out the turnstiles. We need a little bit of stability. Yeah. And also what I would say is, when Nuno came in, there's not many Forest fans were going, oh, fantastic, the saviour's here. It was, who's he? You know, what has he done?
Well, Danny, I've got to tell you, you've got Simon and Emmanuel both nodding in agreement.
But when you talk about them, and I know you think it's my particular hobby horse. When and this is an individual that I quite like, but I disagree with him on lots of things. I saw Craig Hope write an article saying that none of the Nottingham Forest players went over. They all gave Ange Postecoglou a wipe. No, they didn't. There's a picture of his arms round Morgan Gibbs-White. So journalists creating narratives build out a sentiment. Certain fans can be lemmings. They follow the particular order of a set of opinions. So why don't we report honestly then? Why would we want to create a subplot where all the Forest
Is it factually correct that he hasn't won 1 and 7?
That's not the point I'm making.
Is it factually correct?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. What's your point? So when a journalist writes an article saying that none of the Nottingham Forest players, they all shied away from Ange Postecoglou, that's not true.
Okay, if that wasn't true, it wasn't true. John's a Forest fan. John, what do you want to say? Good morning.
Good morning. First thing is arrogance, manager. I think we had the most arrogant manager there ever was in Brian Clough, but nobody seems to bother about him.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
I don't know whether Nuno really wanted to leave the club. If you look at his record, everybody keeps going about Ange's record. He's been in charge 7 games, 5 of those are away. Nuno's last 6 games at home, 1 win was against Brentford this year. So take off the rose-tinted glasses, like they've already said. Get behind him, because he's put all this money in the club. He's paying him, you know. I go and watch him, 55 quid, think I've got an opinion. The manager... he's got to be given a chance. He's had, 7 games.
Yeah, you have a French World Cup winner nodding in agreement. Emmanuel?
Yeah.
Totally agree. Give him time. He arrived, 3 weeks ago? So how can you judge, it's totally different football, that he wants to put on the pitch as well with his players. So He just came, during the start of the season. He was not there, at the preseason, working with his players. So it takes time, to adapt, your style to the players and the opposite as well. So give him time. We will see, in a couple of weeks.
Neil, do you give him time? Big Forest fan, Neil. You still with him?
Yeah, well, I was with him when he started, but it's the stats are just going all against him every single week. We're now 20th in the league for goals conceded. We're 20th in the league for goals scored. We're 20th in the league for XGs. We're 20th in the league for set pieces against us. And I don't see any improvement going forward. And, we've got the international break now. After that, we then have Chelsea at home. We have Bournemouth away, which is notoriously difficult. We then have Manchester United. We have Leeds United. And after that, we have another international break, and that's when his make-or-break time is then. With those 4 games are going to make or break his managerial tenure.
What do you think, Emmanuel? Giving him another 4 games, so that would be like 11. I mean, would that be even time enough to make a decision on him?
Well, things can turn very quickly, in the Premier League. And international break right now. So I think that will be good, for Postecoglou to work with his players, about what he wants to do on the pitch with them. So that will be something better. But when you look at the schedule, the games coming soon, it's not something good for Nottingham Forest. But honestly, I've seen them, doing so much great games, against top clubs last season. So I think they can repeat that.
Neil, before you leave us, what percentage chance do you give them of getting to Christmas?
Well, those 4 games we've got between the 2 international breaks, if we don't get 6, 7 points in those 4 games, he's gone.
Okay, Neil, thank you very much indeed. David Moyes in his programme notes, Simon, at the weekend.
And who's next?
Well, before the Palace game, in his programme notes, Monday night's game was made more difficult for us because West Ham changed their manager on Saturday, with Nuno coming in, offering to play a different style of play. We come into the job knowing we could lose our job at any time, and we fully appreciate expectations that are put on anyone who chooses to become a football manager or coach. But I don't think that means you should treat football managers differently to the way you would treat managers in other industries. He says, I strongly believe this whole process can be conducted with far more dignity. In life, we often have to receive bad news at different times, but bad news should be delivered in the best way possible. I hope in future managers can be treated with a little more respect by clubs and the media.
I would imagine, I like David a lot. I would imagine in David's wide experience of other industries and how managers are treated, he can speak from a reference point of understanding that. He's been a football manager and a football player all his life. Cosseted and institutionalised and protected from the outside world. He's got an axe to grind with West Ham for, I think, legitimate reasons, because I don't think he was treated very well by the fans at West Ham at times and by the board in terms of the work that he did and the way that his contract was just allowed to run down. You cannot, with all due respect to Moyes, suggest that you can compare the opportunities and the travails of a football manager and the upsides of being one to any other walk of life. It's a public domain business. It is a fixed contract where you get paid for failing, and half of them go into the job making sure that they get paid if they fail because of the nature of the job that they're in. They get rewarded beyond the dreams of most managers in any other industry.
So this is nonsense.
So really, David, pack it in. I mean, I understand that you think that it's awful for Graham Potter to have done a press conference and then ultimately lose his job. I understand that you think that's an awful way to behave, and probably isn't the ideal way to behave. But who is the arbiter of what's right and wrong? Managers running around doing what they feel like doing. Managers in the past that have taken backhanders and done all kinds of things left, right and centre. Was that a great way to behave?
Did the manager sacked by you leave with dignity?
Well, it depends what you think dignity is.
We know what dignity is.
Well, what is it then?
Leaving with your head held high. No, you were treated properly, you were treated in a dignified way.
Anybody that gets sacked is not happy, are they? Anybody that gets sacked is being told quite frankly, you're not good enough. So there's an element of dignity being taken away from you with that happening to you. It's about how you handle it. Managers have brass necks. They pop up in the dugouts or in the boardrooms of other clubs, waiting like cuckoos to take the job from their so-called manager that they're supporting, their fellow manager that they're looking after. We've had this conversation a number of times. This silly self-entitled attitude's got to pack in. This is a wonderful industry, fraught with challenges, fraught with rewards, and it comes with the difficulty of if you don't succeed, maybe you aren't going to be given a golden chariot out the door.
Fancy management, Emmanuel?
Well, honestly, it's funny your question, because so many former players, every time they see me, they always ask me the same question: why you don't become a manager?
And why not?
Because I prefer life.
Good.
I'm very happy with my life so far, and I'm very flexible about it, and I have the power of my life. And if I become a manager, football will have power on me, and I will live under so much stress, and I won't see my family anymore. So back to the question, the first question. I agree with you, Jordan. I will probably add something, important on it. The emotion is not the same. I mean, when you have a different industry, and you fail in you are managing, the industry, and you failed, then all of a sudden you've been fired, from the board and the shareholders. It's not quite the same that conducting, being a manager in the dressing room, in the big clubs. The emotions are not the same. Look what we've seen, with Rangers fans.
Yeah.
Can you see that, on different industries? Can you see,
There's no comparison. I mean,
No.
I felt sorry for Thomas Skinner the other day getting booted off Strictly Come Dancing in the way that he did. I thought it was undignified.
Oh, he
I
went
thought
the dignified way.
I thought it was terrible the way the judges berated him.
How did Ross King stay in it? It's Jim White, it's Emmanuel Petit and Jordan, and we're live in talkSPORT. Good morning, everybody. Jim White, Simon Jordan, or should we say Jordan, and Emmanuel Petit. We are live. I absolutely love the way World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit said, I don't know what you think, Jordan. But keep it up.
We'll divide and conquer.
Sorry.
People are loving it. Emmanuel, not at all. I have to say, mate, you have many, many people out there sending me messages who are thoroughly enjoying you being with us this morning. I wonder where we'll go with this, though. Thomas Tuchel, on Friday, England boss Thomas Tuchel named the squad for the upcoming matches against Wales, that'll be decent, and Latvia, with one notable absentee being Jude Bellingham. Tuchel said last month he'd apologised to Bellingham for his language when he told talkSPORT in a live interview earlier this year that his mum can find the behaviour of Bellingham repulsive. But Bellingham, we know, has faced injuries. Made a comeback appearance for Real Madrid in the 89th minute against Espanyol on September the 20th. So he's been out for a bit, Jude. So should he be an automatic starter as far as the squad's concerned for Tuchel? This was Tuchel on why he didn't select Bellingham.
First of all, Jude is I understand your focus on Jude, of course. First of all, he's a very special player. And for special players, there can always be special rules. I get this. But for this camp, we decided that we stick with our straightforward decision to invite the same team. That applies also then for Jude. He deserves always to be in camp. I think there's an extra layer, or like there's on top of it the situation that he has not gathered fully rhythm yet at Real Madrid. He is back in the team. He hasn't finished one full match until now. He has only started one match, so he is at the moment in the period where he gets his rhythm, where he gets back to full strength. There is this extra layer into decision, but the decision stayed for this camp.
We have a World Cup winner in our midst, Emmanuel Petit. I think his point there, Emmanuel, is that everyone has to be picked on merit, not reputation. Is that about right? I mean, Saka's in the squad.
When it comes to national team, I disagree with that. Because I know by experience, I've been playing for 15 years for the national team and even for big clubs. And when top players are coming back from injuries, even if it's only one game, I can understand because there is this international break and they don't want to be in confrontation with Real Madrid, and they want to give him, the time to recover, step by step. I cannot understand that. But when you are top players, we are talking about Bellingham, who's been probably the best players at their last competition during the European tournament, for England. So we are talking about top leaders, in the team. So, for example, if I take a comparison, with when I was playing for the national team, Zidane, when he was injured, even if he was only on one leg, he will come back directly, to the national team because the impact he had, in the dressing room, but as well on the pitch.
So the same goes for Bellingham as far as you're concerned.
I mean,
top players, what are they, undroppable?
England have so many top players, but I believe that Bellingham, as I said, was probably the best players, during the European tournament.
So if you were Tuchel, you'd have him in here?
If he's able to play, I think why he should come back. How long he's been injured?
Well, he's been in and out. He's had injury issues of late. As I say, he came back very late on for Real Madrid against Espanyol. He played 19 minutes against Levante.
Yeah, but how long has he been injured before that?
About a month or so.
So I can understand that. So he needs to get back, on rhythm, and to get a proper, fitness, back to. But what is the game that England has to play?
Well, Wales and Latvia. That's what he's coming back to.
So, I mean, he can play 30 minutes, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
That could be good as well for him.
Yeah. But you're telling us this morning that was undroppable.
If Tuchel wants him to get his rhythm back, so just give him time to play as well, step by step.
You probably saw the Mbappe interview last month.
No, come on. I don't understand.
Come on, how did that go down in France?
Oh my God.
He says, I'm a fatalist about the world of football, not about life. Life's wonderful. Football's what it is. The football world would have disgusted me a long time ago. That's the world we live in. We can't change it. I will never advise a child of mine to step into the football world.
How can he say that?
He says, the more money you have, the more problems you have.
okay, so he can stop his career if he wants and can wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He can go to the factory and to win just average money, and understand what he said, especially after he became such a big star like this, earning so much money like that. He has received so many compliments since he started his career. So I know that he's been living under so much criticism and pressure since he left Paris Saint-Germain 2 years ago. I understand that with the national team as well. The last European tournament has been a failure, But again, we're talking about one of the best players actually on the market. And I can understand what he said, but in the meantime, you can't say that publicly because people don't understand that. We're living in a world that's 99% of people in the population in the world are struggling. They're struggling to live, So if you say that and millions of kids are dreaming of becoming footballers, we know that it's not something that could be very good, for your kids. But in the meantime, I've been dreaming of becoming a footballer. I was very happy. There is so many things I didn't like, in football. But if you give me the choice, would you love to go to the factory instead of being a football player? I will say, I will pay, to be back those days when I was on the pitch. Honestly, even if things were not very good, outside or inside football, I will take it because that was my dream to play football.
You'd pay to be a player again?
Yeah, of course, I will play. I will pay a lot of money to be back on the pitch because I love being on the pitch. I love to live those emotions, to get this link with the fans, to receive that kind of money, to live this life. So honestly, does he know what it means to be a normal person, to live in this world?
He reportedly takes on 60 million a year at Real Madrid, Simon.
Well, I don't know what he's referring to specifically because there may be some detail behind what he's saying. There may be some aspects of the game that he's talking about which are quite insidious, that are all about flesh trading. We've seen so many people. We've seen, I think, was it Nicolas Anelka's or was it Pogba's brother? Or one of these brothers that ripped off their own brother because he's got so much money.
Pogba.
We see agents leeching on. We see people making decisions. So people always assume, and I'm guilty of it as well. It's like the mental health issue is you've got lots of money, you shouldn't have mental health. You've got lots of money because you play football, you should be happy with your lot. Yeah, and you should recognise the opportunity. But there are also the other side of the dream where you can speak candidly. I think there needs to be more qualification behind what he said in terms of what is it specifically that you are taking a great big dump on? What do you not like about the industry that's afforded you the wonderful opportunities to be revered, admired, respected, rewarded, and facilitated with a life that most people could only dream of, doing a sport that most people would break their arm off the shoulder to even get a chance to play one game for the national side in?
You're not having it?
No, because when he won the World Cup in 2018, with France, I would love to ask him this question. Are you happy to be a football player? Yeah. I mean, the emotions, you have no idea what it means, to win that kind of title. It's beyond football, This is you can be billionaires and don't get this feeling, I mean, it's like Shakespeare saying, "To be or not to be." It's exactly this. I mean, when you win big titles like this, when you fight for the most beautiful titles in the world, when you have this link with fans around the world, when people recognize you everywhere you go and they send you loves and emotions like this, I don't get it. I don't understand why you said that.
Emmanuel, very passionate. We love that. Just gone 11:30.
Rangers have been outrun and outfought too often under the sacked Russell Martin, and Ali McCoy says the rest of the Premiership could start to smell blood.
And Rangers, unlike a wounded animal can be very, very dangerous. Rangers are a wounded animal at this moment in time, but look anything but dangerous.
The board say Russell Martin's results did not meet expectations. He leaves Rangers 11 points off leaders' Hearts after winning just one league game this season. Forest legend Stuart Pearce, meanwhile, has told us the team just lack a bit of cutting edge and that the players are fighting hard for their new manager.
What's wrong with something being hard? Seriously, what's wrong with it? Why does everything have to be so... Why do we want everything just delivered, nicely packaged? I'm sure your parents had a struggle in their life, right? And they didn't give up.
Postecoglou expects talks with the Forest board over the international break after going 7 games without a win. Now, Martin Ødegaard's expected to miss at least 3 weeks with a knee ligament injury. Arsenal's captain came off for the 3rd home game running as Arsenal went top with a win over West Ham. Meanwhile, Harry Kane insists he is fit to play for England this week. He's hurt his foot in Bayern's win over Frankfurt. And some very sad news indeed this morning. British and Irish lion Lewis Moody has been diagnosed with MND. In an emotional interview with the BBC, Moody says the hardest thing was telling his mum and 2 teenage boys. Former Scottish winger Kenny Logan is a spokesperson for the Doddy Weir Foundation.
I know Lewis, he's a top man, he's a really good lad.
Yep.
One of the nicest guys we'll meet, actually. And he's one of these guys that will always turn up and every time you see him, big smile and gives you a big hug. How you getting on? And we've got to do that for him now and his family.
There's more on this story and others at talksport.com.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
And we're joined by Matt Gibson from BetMGM. Going to look at some of the top events and the odds round and about them. Matt, let's start with Rangers. Russell Martin sacked late last night. Who's favourite to take over?
Yeah, morning, fellas. I don't think there's any shock who's top of the market. I think he was really loved though when he was at Rangers. Steven Gerrard 6-4 favourite. Sean Dyche just in behind at 5-2. Danny Roll did wonders with Chef Wednesday in challenging circumstances. Hasn't currently got a job. 11-4. There's the likes of David Ancelotti in there. Frank Lampard's priced up, but I don't necessarily think that's a runner at all with how well Coventry are doing. Gary O'Neill's an interesting one, fellas, at 33-1. Currently out of work. Obviously did decent jobs with Bournemouth and Wolves, and there was a rumour that he may go to Leeds in the summer. And obviously the Niners are in charge of 49ers are in charge of both sides. So maybe Gary O'Neill at 33-1 is the value bet, but Steven Gerrard is the early market leader.
I can understand, Simon, why they'd want Gerrard back. You know, he won the title, he bucked the trend.
Yeah. Well, they've already created their own backstory to justify the reasons why he left in the first place, rather than hold him accountable for the fact that he jumped to Aston Villa because he thought it was a bigger job than Rangers. I've got no issue with Steven Gerrard. He did a decent job at Rangers. He didn't set the heaven on fire. In 3 seasons, what did he win? A couple of cups. He won a league and a trophy. And most people would say that's because that trophy stopped something that Celtic wanted to achieve. It was the most important thing they ever achieved. I get it. If Gerrard goes back to Rangers, I'm sure he'll do a decent job. But the fact is, he left Rangers because he went to Aston Villa, not because he couldn't get a signing, not because he wasn't backed, but because he wanted to go to what he considered to be a bigger opportunity, the same way that most Scottish managers, when they get an opportunity to manage in the Premier League, off they go.
Let's look back at Arsenal with Emmanuel Petit in our midst. At Liverpool and Manchester City's weekend, Matt.
Yeah, Arsenal... Pretty decent movers, coming to 9-10 to win the title, having been 13-10 when I was sat here this time last week. Liverpool on the drift a little bit. 11-4 is a big price, certainly the biggest we've seen them in the opening stages of this competition. Man City 4-1. Erling Haaland certainly packed his shooting boots this season. I think that's a massive price for Man City as well, to be honest with you. Slot's making some big calls here, gents. I know we've talked about them not clicking. He left out 116 million quid signing Wirtz this weekend. Talking to a few Liverpool fans this morning, they're not particularly happy with Mo Salah's contributions thus far. Are we in a transition where Wirtz is probably gonna bump a Liverpool legend out of the side, and you've got to back your summer signing, and maybe there's a passing of the torch to be had here.
I mean, it's a strange time of it, isn't it? We're only into October. We've been talking about managers getting sacked. Now some Liverpool fans not happy with Mo Salah, reportedly, who has done incredible things at the football club, and in my view continues to do so, Emmanuel.
Well, Liverpool, they've been playing against probably the top teams in the Premier League, and they're leading the table. So when I look at the schedule of the games coming until November, they are very, very, they're easy, for Arsenal to win. So I predict that Arsenal will stay at top of the table until November, which means they will increase probably the pressure on Liverpool on the rest of the Premier League team. So I think Arsenal have a very good chance, to increase the gap within the next few weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting because Arsenal in previous incarnations in the last couple of years have fallen down against the lesser sides. It was against the West Hams and the Fulhams of the year, and the Southamptons.
Yeah.
Arsenal threw away opportunities to win the league, not against the bigger sides.
Yeah, we're going to discuss Arsenal more with Emmanuel before he leaves us today. What about the bottom of the table then, Matt?
Only a draw in the sort of bottom 8 favourites for relegation. Wolves getting a point against Brighton. The rest of the teams that will be down there: Burnley, Sunderland, West Ham, Forest, Leeds, Brentford, Fulham, all winless. I just want to have a look at Forest price here, fellas. Forest 11-4 for relegation. That is shorter than the likes of Leeds United and Brentford. Forest coming into this season, they'd have been surely looking up, and now they're in a position where they're looking over the shoulder. I could not pick that one before a ball was kicked this season, but they are right in it according to the market prices.
Yeah. Ange needs a win when they come back. Whether they'll get that win against Chelsea on return remains to be seen. The World Grand Prix of Darts gets underway tonight. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's a major, this one. First of 2 in October. The European champs are later this month. Michael van Gerwen won the last major. Last time out, he's 10-1 to win in Leicester this month. Josh Rock's also playing well at tens, but no surprise to see the two Lukes up there. Littler 2-1 favourite to win the job lot. Humphrey's just behind at 6-1. But I think maybe Michael's hit a little bit of form here. I think 10-1 might be a little bit overpriced.
Okay, Matt, thank you very much indeed. That was a look at the latest odds thanks to Matt and BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk, download the app, 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
It is approaching Monday lunchtime. It is Jim White, Jordan and Emmanuel Petit, and we are live on talkSPORT. I'm loving this today. Emmanuel, your presence is going down extremely well, I have to tell you, with the listeners and the viewers. Of course, the show being watched by so many now on TV. It was quite a weekend, was it not? What is the title race state of play? We're going to get into this. I mean, after a table-turning week for Liverpool that sees Arsenal hit the summit, who holds the status of favourites for the Premier League title? We'll get into it. After going down late at Palace last week, Liverpool conceded another late winner, this time at Chelsea, and that's 3 losses in all competition in a week. Who would have thought that? This was Arne Slot.
I think you're never close to your ideal. You have to work really hard to reach a certain level, and then it's very hard in football because you also play against very good teams to keep that level in going, and what I mean with that is consistency. So, but it's clear that we had our changes in the summer. Players came in different moments. Last week there's hardly been any training time, and still we need to try to bring these players in. And if the result would have been better today with a draw or a win, which was both possible, I don't say we deserved it. A draw we definitely deserved, but then we would have had a great start to the season if you take into account everything that what happened in the summer in Liverpool.
Emmanuel's with us. Did I hear you say earlier on that some of the big signings Liverpool have made, Emmanuel, aren't showing their top talent at this time? Wirtz being one, Isak being another.
Yeah, but Slot said that a lot of things happened during the summer. He's talking about the new signing? That's what he said?
Yeah. The incomers, yeah.
So
I think so, and how they adapt to that.
That's an excuse for him to explain why they are second behind Arsenal, if I understand well.
Yeah, I mean, I like Arne Slot, and I listened to him over the weekend. I mean, it's an interesting thing because this is now his team. This is a group of players that he's now bought. He inherited a team, and some people might argue he was quite fortunate last year because I think some of the teams in the league were quite mediocre. He won the league and deserves all the plaudits for it. I listened to him say some rather silly things on the weekend. He described the games that they've been in against Galatasaray, Crystal Palace, and Chelsea as being games that Liverpool were more dominant in, and it could have been 4-0 down against Palace. They got battered by Crystal Palace. So when Slot started saying that, look, they've got to do better, Liverpool. Slot's now going to be under a little bit more focus because this really is his side. Last year, that was not his side. That was a side that was handed to him. He had an embarrassment of riches. And I also listened to Wayne Rooney. I thought Wayne Rooney was really, very good. I think he'll become a really good pundit, Wayne, once he gets a bit more confident in front of the camera. But he was talking about the performance of Salah. Yeah. Because Salah does not want to work back. He does not want to track back. He doesn't want to do anything other than go forward. Now, of course, all the things he's done in the past give him a currency. But this Liverpool side, and with the new changes that they brought in there, some of the players that are on that field aren't putting shifts in, and Salah is one of them.
Is it a valid point to make, Emmanuel, that for some players it's not an easy process to fit in immediately?
No, of course not.
Did you fit in immediately?
No. It took me a couple of weeks, to adapt myself to English culture, football, and as well my new teammates. I remember a game, I think it was in October or November, something like that, just a couple of weeks after the start of the season. And we play away at Southampton, and I received a big kick, and I thought, what the hell, what's going on the pitch? And I had a big talk and discussion, the following day with Arsene Wenger. He said to me, he convinced me to stay at the club, and he said to me, I'm confident, you have everything to adapt yourself to become a success, with Arsenal, and this is and I get resilient, and I kept on working, and we all saw what happened afterwards. But coming back on what Slot said, well, last season they became champion, and didn't make any new signing, and he was following the step of Klopp. And they won the Premier League. And all of a sudden, because they spent 500 million pounds, this is an excuse now that they are right second, and they were leading the table. They won against Arsenal 1-0. And all of a sudden, they are losing 3 games in a row, and they are conceding, for me, this is my opinion, too many goals, from the start of the season. And where they've been, very performing, they've been brilliant, defensively for the last couple of years. So I know that it takes time for the new signing to adapt themselves, but I think sometimes you need to work much more as a team than individuals.
Yeah,
this is something that's been missing for me at Liverpool.
Well, at the moment, it's Arsenal and Liverpool 1 and 2. And you wonder, come May, is that going to be the picture? The weekend there was Arteta's 300th match in charge of the club, his 177th win. And that took his side to the top of the Premier League for the first time since May 2024. Let's hear Emmanuel on Arteta.
Well, very proud is a big number for this football club. I want to thank you, everybody, especially my coaching staff that they've been with me since day one, and without them, it's impossible to, first of all, to do the job, and secondly, to enjoy it. So I know that I have the best people in the world around me, and after all, the players and the staff that they've been since day one, supporting, helping me to be a better coach, to learn from them, to inspire me, and to enjoy the good moments as well. So I wanted to celebrate it with a win. I've got it. Now we have the international break to enjoy it and use the time as well to prepare, because what's coming in the next break is going to be really difficult again.
Emmanuel, he has the highest win percentage of any permanent manager, including Wenger. What do you think they've gotten him? I mean, are you visualising this now, that in May he's got the Premier League trophy in his hand?
What's the most important? The average wins or the title you win? For me, I would prefer that Arteta will probably win less. We have less victories, but instead of winning titles, And this is for me the most important. If you ask me the question of a former player, if I am an actual player, I will tell you I prefer to lose much more games, but at the end of the season I would want to win title. I don't care, to be the much successful manager in terms of victories if at the end of the season I don't win anything.
So how would you describe his legacy if he ends up winning the title for the first time in 21 years?
Well, I hope they're going to win the title, and I think they will win the title because of the new signing, because of the options that Arteta have, on the bench, and the rotation he can make, the turnover he can make, every games. That's for me the biggest reason why Arsenal lost the last 2 or 3 seasons the title. The competition with Liverpool or Manchester City. So it changed a lot. So that's why I think I don't see Arsenal or Arteta not winning the title this season. To be honest with you.
What kind of squad has he got, Emmanuel? I mean, when you look at his first game in charge in 2019 against Bournemouth, Saka is the only one that remains.
Martinelli as well.
Martinelli, I'm looking. He came into the group later, didn't he?
Yeah.
In that group, Leno, David Luiz, Socrates, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Xhaka, Torreira, Aubameyang, Ozil, Reece Nelson, Lacazette. Saka's the only one.
All gone.
All gone. It's quite a turnaround and quite a turnover. So the players who are there now, obviously it's working for the better for Arsenal.
Yeah. The spine of the team is not there, I remember back in days, when we started with Arsene Wenger, he kept the spine of the team and they won titles and they became invincible. It's quite, the football changed so much, on the bench, but as well on the pitch.
Yeah. I mean, even the subs, Emi Martinez, Mavropanos, Mustafi, Willock, Guendouzi, Smith Rowe and Pepe.
I wonder what this statistic that we like to trot out about he's the most successful Arsenal manager in win records is compared when you compare it to the first 6, 7, 8 years of Arsene Wenger. Because I would imagine Arsene Wenger's win record was better. The latter part of Arsene Wenger's career, when the thing changed and he started to go into decline and the team started to go into managed decline. But if you look at his arrival in 96 and winning the league in 98 and the team and the things that they did, I would imagine that his win record was higher than Arteta. So if we're going to judge it like for like, we probably should judge it on the first 5 or 6 years of Arsene Wenger.
Because he won title.
Correct.
That's the main difference, I think.
Was it easier to win the title when Wenger did it?
People will always remember you because of what you won, not the game you won,
Yeah.
They will probably tell you, sometimes people stop me saying that, I remember this game, but most of the time people, they stop me because of what I've won during the season, what the victory we've done, during the season.
Yeah. Are you absolutely certain that Arteta is a man who can lead Arsenal to this title, or do you have a slight doubt?
They lead the table, actually, As I said, when you look at the schedule of the games from the start of the season, they have been played against the top teams in the Premier League, and they are first on the table.
But you must have a doubt. Has he?
My only doubt, and I'm pretty sure that they will win the title, but I'm not really convinced 100% about the style of playing sometimes. But they are winning games. They are first on the table. They are the best defense, in the Premier League. One of the best attack as well. So
you must be excited
he's right.
by Eze, because I think Eze has made a big difference in the side.
Yeah, but he's not the only one. I think there are Zubimendi as well. I'm very happy with him, and some players, that came, during the transfer market. But as I said, I used to see Arsenal going forward, on transition, playing, a direct football, and sometimes, it's more based on possession of the ball. And sometimes I get bored, watching Arsenal, but they are first on the table, so he's right. That reminds me, the talk I had with some players about Guardiola when he was controlling the game, give me the ball, I give you the ball. But at the end, he won the title.
Yeah.
So he was right.
Okay. Emmanuel very kindly is going to stay for part of the next part, the other side of the 12 noon bulletin. And I'm pleased about that, because we'll be asking the question, what does the Union Jack flag mean to you? What does the French flag mean to Monsieur Petit? That's on the way.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Score a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 2 minutes past 12, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. The whole of rugby and the wider sports community are there for Lewis Moody following his diagnosis with motor neurone disease. That's from former Scotland international Kenny Logan.
I know Lewis He's a top man. He's a really good lad.
Yep.
One of the nicest guys we'll meet, actually. And he's one of these guys that will always turn up, and every time you see him, big smile and gives you a big hug. How you getting on? And we've got to do that for him now and his family.
World Cup winner Lewis Moody's posted online to say he's well supported, feeling fit and staying positive. Nico O'Reilly's received his first senior England call-up. The Man City youngster joins Thomas Tuchel's squad following an injury to Reece James. Meanwhile, Aaron Ramsey's pulled out the Wales squad ahead of their friendly against England at Wembley, live on talkSPORT this Thursday. Now, Emmanuel Petit is confused over the silence from the Rangers board after Russell Martin needed a police escort to get out of Falkirk Stadium. Martin was sacked following the 1-1 draw. Petit says the Rangers fan base needs to call out the masked men who boxed in the team bus.
They are not supporting the club, and you are not. You are different. So you have to take responsibility for that, and you have to step up and to say we don't want those guys, supporting the club, and the club as well has to make a statement.
Meanwhile, with Ange Postecoglou expecting talks over his winless 7 games at Forest, Stuart Pearce says Big Ange hasn't been helped, taking over from a very successful Nuno.
I was at the game yesterday. I didn't think the performance was a performance of a poor team that are not trying for their manager, personally. I thought, that they grafted well, the team. They're just lacking a bit of cutting edge now, Ali.
More on all this at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Best-selling author Dame Jilly Cooper has died aged 88, and the Conservatives say they'll scrap business rates for pubs if they win the next election. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Today it's raining tyres in our centres, including top-notch brands like Pirelli. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Wet and windy across Western Scotland and Northern Ireland, mostly dry elsewhere with lighter winds and some sunny spells, and feeling milder.
Good afternoon, everybody. 5 minutes past 12 noon this Monday lunchtime. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and French World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit, and we are live in talkSPORT. Russell Martin gone from Rangers. Ange Postecoglou reportedly under a lot of pressure at Nottingham Forest, and maybe Mr. Marinakis is going to make some kind of a decision during this international break. The word I'm getting from inside Nottingham Forest is that there isn't any degree of a plan to have a meeting between Marinakis and Ange Postecoglou. Not that some of the top brass of Forest would know at this precise moment, but that can change. Of course, things change in football virtually hour by hour, so we'll keep an eye on that. Gary Neville has revealed that he removed a Union flag from one of his Manchester building sites because they are being used, quotes, in a negative fashion, according to him. The former England and Manchester United player defended a 3-minute video on spoken a 3-minute video on LinkedIn, claiming the British public is, quotes, being turned on each other, whilst he also accused angry middle-aged white men of dividing the country by using the Union flag in a negative fashion. This was Neville.
I just kept thinking as I was driving home last night that we're all being turned on each other, and the division that's being created is absolutely disgusting. Mainly created by angry middle-aged white men who know exactly what they're doing. Funnily enough, on one of my development sites last week, there was a Union Jack flag put up, and I took it down instantly. And some people might be watching this and thinking, well, Gary, you're not very patriotic. I played my country 85 times. I love my country. I love Manchester and I love England. But I've been building in this city for 15, 20 years, and there's no one put a Union Jack flag up in the last 15 to 20 years, so why do you need to put one up now? Because quite clearly it's sending a message to everybody that there is something you don't like. The Union Jack flag being used in a negative fashion is not right. And I'm a proud supporter of England, of Great Britain, of our country, and we're championing it anywhere in the world as being one of the greatest places to live. But I think we need to check ourselves. We need to check ourselves and sort of start to think about bring ourselves back to a neutral point, because we're being pulled right and left, and we don't need to be pulled right and left at all.
That was Gary Neville. We're about to go into an international break. We're in an international break, and his England will be playing, and we'll see the Union Jack, no doubt, the St George's flag being waved about here, there and everywhere. Simon, can the flag be unifying in football, but in other areas of society divisive?
I think it's astonishing, in the wake of an Islamist terror attack, that he decides to have a go at middle-aged white men. Maybe the angry middle-aged white men are the ones that worked on minimum wage inside his hotel. I don't know. I think he's a champagne socialist and a coward. I think it's a dreadful thing to have said.
How is he a coward?
Well, I think the real issue is about radical Islamist extremism, and he doesn't have the balls to call it out for what it is, rather than suggest that people that are challenged in our country about what's happening, he's insulated from these things. He lives in a very rarefied world where his money and privilege has enabled him to live behind a gated environment, not have to worry about NHS appointments, not have to worry about people being attacked in the streets by immigrants that shouldn't be here in the first place. He doesn't have to worry about these things, and so he has the ability to be able to sit there and observe in such a way that insulates himself from it. And I think it's an appalling stance to have taken. He's entitled to his view. He's entitled to a view. We are quite happy to wave every other flag in this country, whether it's Palestinian flags, Ukraine flags, or any other flag that we feel that we're able to wave. But when you're talking about people in this country that have legitimate concerns and want to have a legitimate value set and push back against what they're having forced upon them, for Gary Neville to say what he's just said is the exact embodiment of what I said, which is a champagne socialist, which is insulated from the real world, and a coward, because the real issue is about some of the extremism that's going on in this country.
At this precise time in which we are living, do you think certain football fans will think twice about waving a flag?
Well, it depends. I mean, if you listen to ghastly ex-Labour MPs like Emily Thornberry, anyone that waves the flag of St George's is a thug and a Luddite. You know, it depends who you want to listen to. I think you should be proud of your country. I think you should be proud of your country's flag. It only seems to be this country that seems to think that because there were a few people, a minority of people that want to adopt it and utilise it for the potentially the wrong reasons, that somehow it represents. It's like suggesting that every single time you have an issue with something in this country, you push back against the narrative of undocumented young males coming across into our country, you're a racist. There's nothing racist about that. It's having a concern and being able to voice it. And the politicians and people of influence in this country are not and have not been listening.
Emmanuel, you are a World Cup winner. How patriotic are you at this time about the French flag?
A lot. Well, if you see my whole family, we've been so dedicated to the French flag, and my whole family. I mean, cousins, they are in the army. I got a cousin as well working as teachers as well, national, education. So we've been dealing with the country for many generations. So my grandfather was as well part of the resistance. I don't know the word during the Second World War. So we've been linked with France deeply, but as a patriot, not as nationalist people, which is for me the big difference. Of course, there is racist people in France. Of course, there is racist people in England. But for me, it's the minority of people. So if you try to mix different things and you put confusion into people's mind, and this is exactly what I don't like. We are living nowadays in our society. People are trying to divide us all the time. Trying to point finger at you because you love your country. This is something I've been witnessing, in France for years now. Recently as well, I've been very shocked about what I've seen on TVs. People are trying to be proud of the French flag, and all of a sudden there were people around them pointing finger at them, saying that you should be ashamed about your flag. I am in France. I am a French guy. I love my country. So there is no reason why you're telling me I'm a racist guy because I love my flag and I love my country. I mean, if you travel everywhere in the world, you go into countries that are very nationalists. And they're very, very proud about their flag, and we don't see them as racist. And I don't get it, honestly.
But do you think Gary Neville has a point that maybe here there are certain individuals who are hijacking the flag, the Union Jack flag?
Sometimes, when you go...
Maybe it's the same in France.
Yeah, it's totally the same in France. We are living actually we are trying to fight against, as you said, Islamism, very, very bad, because we have millions of Muslims, living in France, and they are respecting the country, and they want to live with us under the same flag with the same value. They have different religions, and it doesn't matter. If we have the same values, we can live together. And there is a minority of people, they don't want that. They want to split. They want to put confusion into people's mind. So when I hear things like this, that I feel sad. Honestly, I feel sad, because you have to be proud of your country. And if someone wants to show the flag of the country, you must be happy with that.
There's no attempt. I mean, I don't really attach that much importance to what Gary Neville says anyway. But insofar as he's a voice that people want to listen to, he's a very good football observer, a very good football commentator. You need to understand the motivations of people and the reasons why they do things. And you'd be well served in remembering that these angry white men that you reference are the same angry white men that possibly have paid enormous amounts of money that have gone into your extraordinary wages over the years. So you need to get some context and some balance and some empathy and understanding why people might think that valuing their flag in a time when our country has been challenged left, right and centre by a variety of issues is something that people should want to do, and doesn't make them angry or doesn't make them extreme, and it doesn't make them racist.
There is something I don't understand. He said that it's only mid-white men.
Yeah, low-hanging fruit,
that
easy
means
to do.
There is only white English people in this country?
Yeah. Well, it's low-hanging fruit. It's an easy attack. It's positioning itself against people like there's a character in this country called Tommy Robson that represents a certain
You
viewpoint.
divide people when you say that.
Well, of course you do, but that will be lost on our Gary.
I don't understand that.
And in the meantime,
I know black people that are French. I know white people that are French. We don't care about the color of your skin, the religion. As I said, if you live under the same flag with the same value, I don't care what you love in your life, So when you say white men, for me, you make a really strong difference between people that showing their flag.
You raise the flag, no doubt, in this international break. The French, over here, the English flag is flown by many football fans. Is it the same in France? When you play a match, do the French feel...
Of course, very proud.
And we love the trickle.
This is why I love football as well and sport, because this is the only part of the society when you can show the love for your country without being pointed as a racist person. If you do that in the street, or sometimes you can do that on national days, like for example, the 14th of July, which is the national day in France. You see so many French flags in the country. People they don't matter about that, because this is the day for that. But more and more it's happening in my country. French flags disappear, from the habitation, houses, things like this, because I'm not gonna say they are scared about that, but it's like if we do that, people think you're racist, and I don't like it.
Gary Neville revealing that he removed a Union flag from one of his Manchester sites because they're being used in a negative fashion, according to him. I'll put it out there this lunchtime. What does a Union Jack flag mean to you? Can it be unifying on the football front, but socially divisive? You might want to give us a call on this, 03717 223344. Emmanuel, we'll say goodbye to you because you have to return to beautiful Paris. Go in the knowledge that your Prime Minister, Sébastien Lecornu, has resigned after less than a month in the job.
And remember when we won the World Cup in 1998, we were from different, color of skin, religion, and we were all fighting for the same thing. And we were very proud of representing the France, and we felt and we love our country. This is the way it should be all the time.
Fantastic. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit heading on out, but we are here. Give us a call, 03717 223344. We've wished goodbye to Emmanuel Petit, but not goodbye, a biento. He'll be back with us soon, I'm quite sure. Emmanuel Petit, World Cup winner, with us this morning. We're talking about Gary Neville, who has revealed he removed a Union flag from one of his Manchester building sites recently because, in his belief, they're being used in a negative fashion. Gary Neville popped out a message over the weekend which has attracted an enormous amount of interest and reaction. He says, "I just kept thinking, as I was driving home last night, that we're all being turned on each other, and the division that's been created is absolutely disgusting. Mainly created by angry middle-aged white men who know exactly what they're doing. Funnily enough, on one of my development sites last week, there was a Union Jack flag put up and I took it down instantly. I was driving to Salford City going down Littleton Road, seeing probably 50 or 60 Union Jack flags." Simon, you've been very strong about Gary's comments. You virtually condemn his comments, saying that they're ill-advised at this time.
I think they were ill-advised, full stop. I mean, stupid inflammatory name-calling doesn't help anybody, does it? I mean, there were legitimate reasons. The reasons why I've called him a champagne socialist is not because he's successful and he's able to put himself in a position where he can insulate himself from the travails of the average person's life, because I admire that. That's something to be revered. But because he refuses to accept that people have genuine concerns, that doesn't make them angry white men because they want to talk about the values of their country, the principles of it, the standards of what they're living amongst. And they believe that, I drive up and down streets now because we've been pushed into a situation where you've got ridiculous politicians like Emily Thornberry that once upon a time said that the St George's Cross was reflective of white van man and portraying people as a lowest common denominator. I mean, I don't know who these people think they are. And then you talk about the real issue, which is the cowardice of it. We're living in a country where some of the real issues are about radical extremism. And it's much easier to say about angry white men. I mean, what a dreadful thing to have said.
But is there an element who have hijacked the flag for their own purposes?
But there is also an element of people, there's a significant, far greater element that do not. I mean, I'm driving up and down streets like Epsom or other parts of the country. This has nothing to do with Tommy Robertson. This is people that are pushing back against the narrative that's being forced down their throats, that they have to accept other things that are going on in this country, and they want to be heard. And they're not being heard. And the people that are supposed to be representing them and people of influence are coming out with stupid, inflammatory, ill-informed, ignorant comments like Gary Neville has just made. It's he's entitled to his view, and he's a football pundit that operates in a very rarefied space. But this kind of commentary, it creates an alien. It's low-hanging fruit. It's lazy, not even wanting to understand why people feel the need to attach their values to it. Not living in the world that the average person is living in the street that cannot get NHS appointments, is concerned about the state of the country, the changing demographics in their towns and cities.
Let's put it out there. I mean, can it be unifying on the football front, but socially divisive? Basically, that's what it comes down to. Let's put it to Max, who's an Arsenal fan. Max, what do you make of Neville's comments?
Good morning, gents. Great show as usual.
Thank you, Max.
I just wanted to say I served in the military in the Royal Navy for 11 years. I've been a police officer for 24 years, retired this year. And I've been proud to serve under the Union flag. The flag itself shows inclusivity. It's three different flags in one. And I think everybody should be proud to fly the flag, whether it's the St George Cross or the Union flag. It's the intent with which it's flown is the problem, and the flag has been weaponised by a minority, which is making the majority feel ashamed to be British or English or whatever they choose to describe themselves as. This country is absolutely amazing. I've seen the best of it. I've seen the worst of it. Every race, colour, creed, religion. This country is amazing, and it's being undermined, one by politicians who make us feel ashamed of what we are and what we do, and a minority, not just right-wing, but left-wing as well. And those of us in the middle are made to feel the brunt of what is going on, and it's upsetting.
I heard you say there, Max, it's been weaponised by a minority, the flag itself. Is that minority these angry middle-aged white men that Neville's going on about?
See, I don't like that comment at all. It's not I'm a middle-aged white man. It is a minority, and I think we know who that minority is. people who think that there were 3 million people in London when in reality there was only probably 150,000. It's propaganda and it's awful, and it's making me feel ashamed of a country I've served for a very long time.
Max, thanks for coming on the show and making the points you've made. Richard's a Liverpool fan. Richard, good afternoon. What do you think of this?
Good afternoon. Well, to be honest, being a Liverpool fan, I don't really agree with Gary Neville very often, but I think he's right, to be honest with you. I think he's highlighting a division, basically.
So you think he's right to come out with what he said? Because in some instances, the Union flag is being flown and it's being used in a negative fashion, in your view?
No, I'd say, to be honest with you, that if you listen carefully, he's just kind of highlighting the fact that there's division in society. We've got to be careful that we don't kind of take parts of it and kind of run loose with it.
Is that fair, Simon?
Not particularly. I mean, everyone's entitled to a view. It's very low-hanging fruit. He's not addressing the issues in society that people are concerned about and the reasons why they want to voice their opinions and show what they believe is their patriotism to the country that they believe is valuable. He's not addressing those issues. He's standing on the sidelines telling people, by categorising it as middle-aged white men, that they're angry about things and it's divisive. Yes, you can use things for division, but that's the minority. The majority of people should be and are proud of their country, are proud of its heritage and its flag, and they should want to be able to show it. And what they're doing is being demonised to do it because they're then being called because they push back. If you suggest that you've got an issue with immigration in this country, then you're a racist. It's nothing to do with racism. It's a legitimate concern. If you can't get an NHS appointment or you can't live in a society where your towns and cities are changing dramatically beyond the understanding that you have, you raise those questions and all of a sudden you've got people popping up saying you're an angry white man for doing so. It's awful categorisation. That's division in of itself.
Richard, before you leave us, are you proud of your country? Are you proud of the Union Jack flag?
I'm proud to be British. I'm proud to be born British to British parents, but I'm not proud of the modern way that the flag's used. No. And I think Gary's highlighted that. We've got to be careful that we don't overblow what he's saying, basically. He's literally saying that there's a division that needs to be addressed, and he's not playing into it.
Alan's a Man City fan. Do you agree with what Richard's saying there, Alan?
No, not at all. First of all, Simon, normally when I listen to you comment on the radio, you make my blood boil. and
Sorry about that.
So sometimes you can be so divisive, but and you're very opinionated. But I was listening to you and I was actually shocked because everything you said is exactly what I'm feeling. Because I was in the army for 22 years. I'm an England fan. I'm a Man City fan. I live in Scotland and I have done for the last 15 years since I retired. My wife's Scottish. Everywhere in Scotland, they either fly the saltire or the flag of the Union. Nobody complains up here. And there's a young lad in Lesmahago, in the village I'm living, who's going round hanging Union Jacks from the lampposts. Nobody's complaining about it because they're proud, fiercely proud in southern Scotland. For the flag of the Union, and yet the council are going round taking the flags down. But that boils my blood because why aren't they taking the Ukrainian flag down? Why aren't they taking the LGBTQ plus flag down?
Indeed.
Why the Union Jack?
Indeed.
You know, let's be proud of our flag. Let's be proud of our nation. Let's be proud of everything I fought for 22 years. Let's be proud of our democracy. Let's be proud of freedom of speech, and let's also be proud of the way our country is, not the way a minority want to change it to.
Okay, Alan, thank you for your points and thank you for coming on and joining us. And I'm sure we're going to see many flags being flown by England fans when they take on the Welsh, of course, at Wembley this week. Luton Town, incidentally, parted company with manager Matt Bloomfield. There'll be more on that in talkSPORT, no doubt. 12:30.
Rangers have been outrun and outfought too often under the sacked Russell Martin, and Ali McCoy says the rest of the Premiership could start to smell blood.
And Rangers, unlike a wounded animal can be very, very dangerous. Rangers are a wounded animal at this moment in time, but look anything but dangerous.
The board say Russell Martin's results did not meet expectations. He leaves Rangers 11 points off leaders' Hearts after winning just one league game this season. Forest legend Stuart Pearce, meanwhile, has told us the team just lack a bit of cutting edge and that the players are fighting hard for their new manager.
What's wrong with something being hard? Seriously, what's wrong with it? Why does everything have to be so... Why do we want everything just delivered nicely packaged? I'm sure your parents had a struggle in their life, right? And they didn't give up.
Postecoglou expects talks with the Forest board over the international break after going 7 games without a win. Now, Martin Ødegaard's expected to miss at least 3 weeks with a knee ligament injury. Arsenal's captain came off for the 3rd home game running as Arsenal went top with a win over West Ham. Meanwhile, Harry Kane insists he is fit to play for England this week. He's hurt his foot in Bayern's win over Frankfurt. And some very sad news indeed this morning. British and Irish lion Lewis Moody has been diagnosed with MND. In an emotional interview with the BBC, Moody says the hardest thing was telling his mum and 2 teenage boys. Former Scottish winger Kenny Logan is a spokesperson for the Doddy Weir Foundation.
I know Lewis. He's a top man. He's a really good lad.
Yep.
One of the nicest guys we'll meet, actually. And he's one of these guys that will always turn up and every time you see him, big smile and gives you a big hug. How you getting on? And we've got to do that for him now and his family.
There's more on this story and others at talksport.com.
Jim White and Simon Jordan live in talkSPORT this Monday lunchtime. Thanks for all the comments and all the calls, etc. Emmanuel Petit has come and gone, but Emmanuel Petit proving to be a real favourite out there for many of you joining us on the show. Emmanuel, if you're in your cab at the moment heading back to St Pancras, merci bien to you. Half a century of Rube Amarim at Manchester United. Can you believe that? How would you evaluate it? Amongst United fans and fans in general, because many observers have been looking at what Amarim has been trying to do at Manchester United and wondering if he's going to achieve what he's trying to do. At the weekend, they got a much-needed win, beating Sunderland by 2-0. His 50th, as I say, game in charge of the club. And post-match, he was asked about Mason Mount, amongst others, suggesting that the players are 100% behind him.
I saw today, and I know that they want to do the best, and I know that they don't want to change the coach all the time. But like I said during this week, to be with the manager is, I will kill myself to go in every transition. That is we need to show with actions. And sometimes when we look at our team, I know for sure that when we see the games in the end, they know that sometimes we can do better. So I feel that during the week, but we need to show that on the pitch, not just at home, but also away.
So 50 games in charge, Simon. I don't know, 3 words. How would you evaluate it? His time there.
Given a lot of latitude.
Given a lot of latitude.
Paul, is it?
No, it's fine.
Lots of latitude.
Yeah.
He's been given, he's had remarkable tolerance and patience. I mean, I don't want managers to be fired in quick order. I don't think it's admirable to bring somebody in and not get something from them that you clearly saw when you were employing them. And I don't like the industry that it automatically micromanages people. And instantaneously we're talking about managers losing their jobs. But I think the object of the aim of bringing someone in is to make things better and to make things better in short order. And it depends what you think short order is. We've been a year with Amarim. I'm no wiser as to whether he's a good coach or a bad coach. I'm no wiser why it is that there's an enormous amount of temperance, seemingly, other football clubs that have far less reason, or far more reason for temperance, seem to have none. Nottingham Forest have no temperance, seemingly, for Ange Postecoglou. Yet Man United fans have been ground down to such a nub of lack of expectation that they're actually celebrating this manager and his lack of achievements.
Yeah.
I thought they were better on the weekend, and so they should be against a promoted side. I thought there were times during the game, from what I saw, and albeit it's the potted highlights, that they looked like a United side of old with, buccaneering, cavalier approach to the game and free-flowing football and aggressive wingers and all of this stuff. But I don't know what, 50 games in, he is being given, whether it's because they don't want to admit they've made a mistake or whether they believe that they've got enough in the tank to let him to go on and on and on to get to a point where Man United are redeeming themselves. I think Man United will finish higher up the table than people potentially are suggesting they will. I think they will. I think they'll finish in the top 6, but that's where Man United will be, and that's where they may well stay.
Top 6,
and if that is good enough, I mean by that I mean 6th. Okay. Now, if that's good enough for Man United fans, who am I to say that it's not? It's not good enough in my mind's eye for arguably the biggest club in the world besides Real Madrid. It's not good enough for the expenditure that's been foisted upon this football club and spent over the years, and it will not. And no one else is standing still. So other people are going to get worse. They're going to get better. Man City are going to regain some poise somewhere along the line. Arsenal are getting stronger. Liverpool will again catch their breath, and Slot will go again. Other teams are becoming more proficient. Tottenham look better this year than they did last year. So all of these things, the Man United's improvement doesn't operate in a vacuum. They're not in an isolation. Now, Amarim as a manager, I mean, you speak to various football people. We bumped into various football people over the weekend. I think a lot of people are not having him, can't quite work out why he's getting the latitude that he's getting.
Yeah.
Why he's getting the dispensation. There's a part of me that thinks, great, someone's grown up enough to have given someone enough time.
Yeah.
But Amarim, over the last 12 months, has said some ridiculous things. And I don't understand why these guys seem to be so unprepared for the spotlight that Man United bring. It's the biggest club in the world. It brings more attention. As I said before, you fart in the corridors of Carrington, it gets heard around the world, doesn't it? And
if you choose to do that. And the fact of the matter is, though, he's won 10 of 37 games since taking charge, but he's failed to win back-to-back league games so far.
Yeah, no, he has.
So next up, after the international break, Liverpool away. Now, that's an interesting test.
Two teams have
And then pre-match at the weekend, though, Simon, he talks about, but see, one of the problems is the players listen to pundits.
Nobody here is naive we understand that we need results to continue the project. We will reach a point that is impossible for everyone because this is a very big club with a lot of sponsors, with 2 owners. So it's hard. The balance is really hard. My biggest problem is for my players believe in you guys when you say the problem of our team is the system. I get crazy about that. Not with you. I don't want to change your mind, but my players, I guarantee you, they are listening to you, all that opinions, and they are putting that inside because we are not winning games, and they have to believe in me because I watch more games than you guys combine.
Really? But the problem is the players listen to you guys. And this is the point he's making there. Well, yeah, they do. But what's that going to do with anything?
Well, it depends who he's talking about. I would imagine he means pundits like Roy Keane and ex-Man United players that have a view. Well, you must have to look at yourself then, Ruben, right? Because if you're a leader and you command respect and attention and your players will run through brick walls for you, then they will listen to you and not someone else. So your issue is with yourself and your inability to command and demand the attention of your players, rather than a bunch of talking heads that maybe once kicked a football for Man United, commanding more attention. Of course, players will listen. The players that are looking for excuses or looking for a reason why they aren't performing in the way that they perhaps could and should will look for any solace. We all know that the players take the path of least resistance. Hence the reasons why they get their agents carrying their man bags around for them all the time, because that's what they like. They like to be told only positive things. They can't hear any truths about what they need to do. But Amarim, for me, and it's ironic, but this is the nature of this beast, we're a talk show, we should be talking, talks too much. He says things that enables him to be criticised or critique. He makes observations about the size of the football club and the level of sponsors and the 2 owners, as if there's some situation that somehow that's an obstacle in his way. That size of sponsor, that size of attention, that size of owner has given him hundreds of millions of pounds to spend on players.
Maybe those are your 3 words for him. Talks too much.
I think he does. I think what he says is unwise at times. but he seems to be getting away with it. And so he must think that it's a very wise way to be, because he continues to get away with it. He gets his name chanted from the terraces by the United fans for achieving the square root of nothing. He's made Man United worse. They performed pathetically in the Europa League Cup final when an opportunity to redeem themselves. And maybe this is all part of his master plan. Maybe he is a genius in the waiting and we're just Luddites and we can't see it. It's lulling everybody into a false sense of security, so people have written Man United so much that they come creeping up on the rails and surprise us all.
Do you think Sir Jim Ratcliffe's enjoying his voyage into football? His Nice club at the weekend drew 2-2 with Monaco. They're 12th in Ligue 1.
I wouldn't think so. I don't know. I think he's a brilliant businessman, a fabulous businessman beyond all recognition and relatability for me in terms of levels of success. I think you can probably encapsulate what Jim Ratcliffe really knows about running a football club inside a postage stamp. And if you listen to some of the things that he speaks about and some of the way that he speaks, with all due respect to his level of success, which is remarkable in other areas, that doesn't make him a good football operator. And I should imagine now that obviously he's also rather foolishly inserted himself in between the Glazers and the fans so that he can now cop all the flack for the primary owners, which is the Glazers.
Well, an interesting one to look forward to after the international break. So Jim's and Ruben's Manchester United away at Liverpool. Oh, yeah. 21 seconds to go, the latest episode of 21 Minutes to Go. The podcast with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy is out now. If you haven't heard it already, go and check it. 21 Minutes to Go with Goldstein and Cundy, available on your favourite podcast provider.
Why is it called that?
I've no idea. It's available in 21 minutes.
It only lasts 21 minutes?
Little bite size of it.
All right.
Yeah, but thanks for your interest. talkSPORT Daily. Make sure you download the new and improved talkSPORT Daily podcast. Every day you can hear in-depth chats from talkSPORT's household names in just a bite-sized 20-minute episode. Are we keeping you up?
A little bit.
That's a talkSPORT Daily podcast.
21-minute podcast.
First thing every morning on the talkSPORT app, as well as the usual podcast platforms. Bit of sad news, Simon, and you and I were trying to get back from Glasgow over the weekend.
Yes.
The news came through, I think it was on Saturday. A fellow you knew probably much more than I did, Milan Mandaric.
I did, yeah, I knew Milan well.
Yeah, the former Portsmouth, Leicester City, Sheffield Wednesday owner Milan Mandaric had died at the age of 87. In my time at Sky, Simon, I can tell you, he was hugely helpful to me. Whenever I asked for an interview with him, he would always grant me an interview. One time, not long after he came down to London, he invited me to Portsmouth up against Chelsea and of course, introduced me to one Roman Abramovich.
Yeah.
It was quite a day.
I liked
him well.
I really liked Milan. I mean, I knew him from the Football League. I watched him, he owned Portsmouth and bet the house on trying to get Portsmouth up when he signed people like, I think it was Todorov, wasn't it? And Paul Merson, and a whole raft of other players, and Robert Prozenecki,
yes,
and players that he really did bet the house to get out of the Championship.
That's right.
He was an interesting character in Football League meetings. He was very robust. There was a few of us that were quite vociferous, myself and Theo Paphitis and Charles Koppel at Wimbledon and a few other people, and Karen was there from when she was at Birmingham, and were very strong, and Milan was one of those.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting. I remember him. When he was owning Leicester. And we played Leicester at the second game of the season, I think it was, at Selhurst Park. And Milan walked into the boardroom, and we got on really well, myself and Milan. And I was like, "How are you, mate? How am I? I've got this idiot in the dugout." And I said, "Oh, right, but I'm going to fire him." I said, "But it's the second game of the season." It was Martin Allen. And I said, "He's only been there for 1 week, Milan. Not even I would do that." And he was like, No. But he was very forthright and very clever man. And very successful. He was very friendly with Georgie Best, wasn't he?
Yes.
His days in America, because he was involved in American football. And he brought success certainly to Portsmouth. It was his engine room, and people will say that he took huge risks, and he did. He took huge risks with the finances of Portsmouth to get them out of the division.
Yeah.
I think it was in 2001, 2002.
It was very sad, actually, over the weekend. Harry Redknapp, of course, one of his managers, spoke about Milan Mandaric.
I first met Milan back in the 70s in America. He owned the San Jose Earthquakes, and probably he was the youngest owner in the North American Soccer League. He was a businessman of the year, and he was only in his 30s, a real charismatic character, and he owned a football club out there, and he absolutely loved football. He was football crazy, And then suddenly he appeared, at Portsmouth, and sort of saved the club, basically. The doors were chained up, and he came in and took the club over. He came and asked me if I would go to Portsmouth with him after I'd left West Ham, which I did, and had such an amazing time. The first year there, we won the Championship, and we got promoted for the first time to the Premier League, and we just had an incredible year, really. We had a love-hate relationship. We had great times together. We'd have arguments, and then we'd make up and be best pals again. But I loved him. I loved his company. The crowd would sing to him. I've never heard of a crowd ever sing to a chairman for 90 minutes, and that's what they used to do to Milan. That's how much they thought of him.
That was Harry talking about Milan Mandaric, sadly passed away over the weekend. The news came through, and our condolences go to the family of Milan. Simon, let's finish a bit on the topic of boxing today, and this surprised me. Riyadh Season and Turki Al Sheikh have agreed to, quotes, a game-changing sponsorship deal with Boxer. Now, of course, Boxer and Ben Shalom, we know, had moved to
the
BBC of late, free-to-air.
Yep.
And now Boxer seem to be doing a deal with Turkey and Riyadh Season. And this throws a different light on the situation. In some ways, have Ben and Boxer been throwing something of a Saudi lifeline here?
Well, they already have a relationship with them as of October last year. They had a relationship with them, and I think that what they've got now, I don't think this is a BBC specifically related deal in terms of what they're doing with the BBC. I think this is directly to Boxer, and I think it will probably underpin the fact that DAZN isn't necessarily as secure an environment for the boxing public to watch. Turkey's a bit of a disruptor. He likes to keep all the balls up in the air. A promoter like Ben Shalom, keeping him in a space where he can be competitive with Frank and with Eddie and whoever else and Kalle Sauerland is probably advantageous. It's an inroad into developing young talent. So I think it's probably a very good deal for Boxer, a very useful deal. I mean, people like Frank will do their very level best to ridicule Ben and talk about the fact he's only got 4 shows. He's a young promoter that's trying to punch his way in the same way, metaphorically, excuse the pun, in the same way that Frank Warren tried to punch his way in the 70s with Mickey Duff and Terry Lawless and Jarvis Astaire that were all blocking him.
Yeah.
And so Ben has, weathered the storm of coming out of Sky. I think in the longer game, it would be an advantage for him to get away from that broadcaster anyway, and move on to the BBC, develop a different way of running his business. And he's now got the continued support of what people consider to be the game-changing people in boxing, which is the Saudis.
I mean, Ben was to a degree being written off by some when they heard that it was going to free-to-air BBC and moving away from the pay-per-view model as such with the Saudis.
I mean, I would imagine this financial support that's put into play will enable him to put better talent on display and enable him to acquire better talent to put on display on a terrestrial broadcaster, which might, in fact, dwarf the numbers that the pay-per-view and the VOD guys, i.e. the DAZNs of the world. I think it's to do with the strategy of the fact that DAZN is not yet this digital space that the boxing fan doesn't necessarily, or the boxing fraternity, alight upon.
Okay.
So good luck to Ben.
Not surprisingly, there's Stevie, who's a big Arsenal fan. Loved Emmanuel Petit on with you this morning. Hope to hear from him again soon. Well, you will, Stevie. Not just the Arsenal fans who love Petit. Many people appear to do so. And Simon, there's John, who was at the Crown Plaza on Friday. Loved your chat, Jim, with Simon on ownership, on this, on that, and the next. Very entertaining. Thank you so much. You enjoyed it as well, didn't you? I'm asking that deliberately as you've taken a huge gulp of water.
I enjoyed supporting the calls because I think what Chris Boyd is doing, given the circumstances in which he's doing it in, is admirable. I think it's substantive, and I think it should be respected. And I think it was a lovely event and some very interesting people there.
Did you enjoy your real journey back south?
I most certainly did not.
We get turfed out at Crewe. It's 1 o'clock.